Hello, everybody. This is the Gaming Discourse Podcast. First episode. I am Mike, aka Pink Loaf.
I am James, aka J Master Turbo.
And I am Joe, aka FroggyDo25.
So, this is our first episode. Real quick, I just want to talk about what you can expect in this podcast. We will be having healthy, open, sometimes very heated debates about games, gaming series, gaming mechanics, all things gaming. But if you're coming here for things like arguments, which are unhealthy versions of debates, and you just expect us to scream at each other in the background, this is not the place for you. With that out of the way, our topic for today is gaming difficulty, a very broad topic that we can all relate to.
Do you want to start off with where do we want to start off with? First, the gaming difficulties, as in the standard, easy, normal, hard, and whatever is beyond hard.
Yeah, that sounds fair with me. Joe?
So,
yeah, that works.
Do we want to start with normal or easy there?
So I feel like the topics of gaming. Sorry, forgive us. We have to get through the awkward first few minutes of this.
This is our first recording. Let's see how well we do.
But trust us, we'll get into it and we'll forget that we're even recording. So I would like to say that like back in the day when like games were starting, there wasn't difficulty levels. There was normal, and normal was sometimes easy or hard. So, like gaming difficulty has come a long way now in like games like Fire Emblem, where it was just always hard. It was just always,
I mean, we could even go to classic like Sonic or Mario.
Yeah,
both of those are.
Sonic was hard, Mario was easy.
I would consider Mario normal at like later levels, but Sonic was hard. I mean, getting the good ending of Sonic. Imagine separate endings in Sonic 1.
Fair enough.
It was varying difficulties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, setting your own difficulties based on like what you want to accomplish in the game too.
They were.
I think we'll get onto that later, though.
Yeah, you had different ways to finish the game, so you could have a different difficult experience compared to other people. I think that now and nowadays you have like fucking flip. God.
Yeah, I think
like easy, hard.
We're past a minute.
Normal.
It's okay to swear. We're past a minute. It's okay to swear.
Yeah, we're already at the minute mark. Let's just fucking get into it.
Mark. All right. Okay. Yeah. So like now you have like fucking Doom Eternal that has like 70 different difficulties.
Oh yeah, baby mode.
All of them are hard. Like like hard. I'm Too Young to Die is still hard. It's not exactly easy, but when you go like I hate when people say this game's too hard or this game's too easy. Like you purchased a game that you advocated for, that you wanted. If you spend money on a game, I feel like you should know enough about it to know if it's going to be too hard or too easy. And people that like games like like Getting Over It with Benefati are, in my opinion, just objectively bad games. From the standpoint that I don't believe that, and you guys will definitely, hopefully, disagree with this. I don't believe that making a game difficult for the sake of being infuriatingly difficult is a good gaming practice. I believe that like Benefati is only successful because of the rage game, like quote unquote scene where people just have to be like, oh, is this really this hard kind of thing. But like, I mean, I feel like that's a horrible gaming practice for games in general.
I mean, I feel like it's a valid practice still. I mean, as long as you can get to sell games, but I mean, like, I still feel like there was love, care, and like design put into it, but with the object of making the person pissed off. In order to, it's a selling point, is that it's going to piss you off, basically. And, like, I guess it has to live up to that.
I mean, but, like, there's a reason why these rage games are all third-party indie games. It's because they only sell well for, like, a small population of people that want that. But that's not... You would never see Nintendo make a game directly made to just infuriate you. because it wouldn't sell from a Nintendo standpoint or even a Sony standpoint.
I mean, not intentionally trying to piss you off, yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like that's inherently a bad practice, and only rage games can pull it off.
I mean,
Have games like Ninja Gaiden that are historically difficult, and they're some of the most successful ninja games ever made. And I don't understand it. I don't get why. I love the franchise myself, and they're super difficult, and I've never beaten one. So it's weird.
I mean, I think a lot of people like the challenge of the game. I'd say is the big part of it. I mean, I'm still playing Yakuza recently, but I mean, like, there is a certain kind of difficulty when it comes to certain parts of the game, like going to legend difficulty or doing like climax battles and stuff that's like very specifically hard. Like, it's sort of sake of like sometimes you want to feel like you can't, like you want to complete it because it is hard. It's like a challenge presented before you.
Yeah, some of these games are just you beat them, and then that's the challenge, and then you have a save data or save file that says you beat it. It's kind of like a trophy. Not everyone's going to get into like a varsity sport because it's insanely difficult. It's insanely competitive. But with those like niche, very hard ones, guess what? You have something to brag about. You have the trophy, and you're done.
I guess that's.
Heck, I mean, it's not even like
makes
brag
sense.
about to someone else. I would say like even like taking pride in it yourself.
Yeah, you had the skills to do that. You get to take pride in your own skills, your own hard work, your own effort, the time that you put in. Just being able to see it gives you the sense of pride and accomplishment.
So then, let me pose this like question to you.
Like, if I beat
Oh,
Ben and
hold on.
Funny,
Sorry.
I'd be pretty freaking proud. I haven't played it. I've only watched stuff for it.
But
I'd
like
be
that's the
pretty
thing.
freaking
Bennett
proud.
Foddy doesn't require you to have skill necessarily, because the mechanics are there
I'd say
to mess up, and it's just trial and error.
No,
I would say like learning the game is the challenge itself.
yeah, it's like
Like
Okay.
overcoming it is the reward.
it's like if you're trying to let me put it in this way, when you're fighting with the controls, it's just so much more prideful whenever you beat it, because you're not only fighting with the game systems, but you were fighting with the things that let you interact with the game systems.
So then, by that standpoint, is Sonic 06 a great game because of how difficult it is?
We have difficult. We all played Sonic 06 together recently. We had difficult time playing it due to the nature of the game, as you could
The
say.
absolutely infuriating controls and mechanics that
We all each played like a
call
different side
mechanics.
of the story. I got Sonic. Joey, you had Shadow, right?
No, I had Shadow. I had
I
the
had
easiest
Silver.
one, and I still complain.
You had Shadow. You had Silver. You had the most infuriating one, actually.
Yeah,
I had Shadow. I had the easiest
I had
one,
the
and I
one
was
with the
still mad.
most content with Sonic.
Yeah.
And,
I had the one that was supposedly good, and I still had fucking. It was impossible.
but
you know,
it was insane. But we felt really freaking good after we beat that, though.
I don't think I did. I disagree. I'm very scarred.
I did.
I felt very scarred.
I was like, oh my god, we beat it. I can't believe we freaking beat it. Especially when we changed controllers
Oh my god!
in
Yeah, the
time
last
for the
fight.
game.
Yeah, the last fight. Oh my god! Switching out controls.
I was.
Each person did
Yeah.
each character. That was dumb.
It was dumb, but it was fun.
it was
fun.
In the end,
It was dumb fun.
I was really happy I did it.
Yeah.
Which I think that definitely goes to show that like broken bad games can still be fun, and therefore, yes, in some people's eyes, good.
Yeah, it doesn't
I
mean
mean,
they're
it's-
objectively good. It just means
Well, yes, they're subjectively good.
Yeah.
I mean, the story for Sonic 06 bad.
Was
But,
non-existent.
Yes, the bestiality kiss. Gotta remember that. Gotta love that.
Oof.
Gotta love bestiality.
Gotta love the story that sometimes makes sense and doesn't other times.
Oh, you mean like
Yeah,
99% nonsense?
Gotta love Sonic just straight up dying.
Come on, that happened in Shadow the Hedgehog before that. I think we were a little bit more prepared by that point.
Well,
I mean, was it
Sonic never-
marketed for us at that point that we noticed that Sonic was going to die in Shadow the Hedgehog, or...
I guess.
I feel like we're getting a little bit off topic, but in the sense, like, something being hard is not really like a bad thing, or being like
no.
hard for the sake of it being hard is not like necessarily a bad thing. Especially like if you like the
I agree.
challenge and you can
I
overcome it.
agree with that. Like RPG,
Now,
RPGs, for example, like there's difficulty levels for a reason. I prefer to always play on if there's 3 difficulties given, easy, normal, hard, I prefer to play on normal first, and then I go back and beat it on hard. But there are people who just want to experience the story of RPGs, which is a big part. Who don't necessarily want to spend 2,000 hours on a game that they just want to see the story of. Because I personally feel that way about like games like Dragon Quest, where it's very grind heavy, and I love the story of Dragon Quest, but I can't stand how long it takes for me to experience certain story parts just based off of how the games are made.
Thing is, some people play games like RuneScape where grind is the game. Because everybody has different likes and different likes and dislikes. So some people are going to love the grind.
Right, yeah. I'm just not one of them.
It's also a good thing, too, because normally, I mean, not many people normally start on easy. Normally they just do normal and then go hard. But sometimes easy is good if you just want to chill out, or if you're like, you want to just learn the mechanics of the game and then go into normal one.
Or if you just want to get the achievements easily.
The achievements easily, yes, that's also a good one. So if you want the
achievements make a game a whole different level of difficult. Let's just talk about like Crash. Has anybody here played the new Crash game? Or
no, but I've heard about it.
Oh my god!
I haven't heard of it, so enlighten me.
The game is like 3 hours long. No, it's not long. But when you hold on, I'm gonna pull up the numbers so that I get this right. Crash Bandicoot. Yes, I am using Google Chrome.
Goggle.
We have the internet. We shall use it to make sure that
the game.
We have the chat logs.
The game takes approximately 10 hours to beat. And if you add the extras, about 20 hours to beat. The completionist style of the game takes 81 hours and 48 minutes to beat. Now, it's
numbers.
Bandicoot. The games before it total up to about 20 hours of play time. So, that's difficult for a stupid reason. That's only difficult based on the fact of how much time is put in it. It's sacrificing. It's not sacrificing. It's replacing difficulty with time. Because it's difficult to beat because of how much time you have to put in. But it's not difficult. None of the levels are difficult to beat.
Touching on that just for a little bit, like the same thing, in the same vein, replacing difficulty with RNG, aka giving you more time so it seems harder. Like, again, I've been playing Yakuza, and I'm been going the completion route, and some of the stuff is just based purely on RNG, that you need to, like, properly collect the right items, and get, like, a certain loadout in, like, a fight, or there was this one climax battle in Yakuza 0 where, like, it's one of the earlier ones. Like, I think it was Climax Battle 7. You play as Majima, but you're constantly changing styles. You have to be sure when you're in the middle of that fight to, like, know how to play each and every single style at the right moment. Or sometimes you get bad RNG when you're surrounded by all these opponents, and you're slowly losing life. So you could just end up with the worst style, or your own worst, like, fighting style, in the middle of fighting all these opponents. And it could be in the middle of your combo, too. And that took me a very long time to complete. Because of RNG. Now, that fight would have been a lot easier if it was just, like, said, okay, you can choose any style you want. But with the added element of RNG, suddenly it's harder now.
I've never played Yakuza, so I'm not very well versed, but I do know RNG is one of the most annoying things. Is often a supplement for difficulty, and I think that that's not a good practice.
The thing is, I was just gonna add this one more thing.
Go
I
for
just
it.
want to preface that this isn't a part of the main story. This is like a
Okay.
additional thing I can do on the side to, like, if I want to 100% complete the game. Not if I have to go to the story and go through RNG. Completely optional, and I think that's fine. But if it's a part of the main story, then I would be pissed.
Yeah, because most of the time completionists get the short end of the stick. They design it so that the normal person can experience one or two of the minor things around. But then you get into completion where, what the hell, there were a million of them?
Yeah, it's Metroid. Let's talk about Metroid.
Optional difficulty. Optional
Yeah, optional
difficulty settings
difficulty.
within the game.
Yeah.
Games, because that's a that's a tough thing to talk about because achievements are very fun for games. It's just, I guess, when people or when game developers put achievements in there that are required, I guess, or put certain things in there that are required that are not necessarily based on skill, but are based on how much time you're willing to put into it.
Mm.
Yeah,
You know what I
I've
mean?
definitely experienced
time-
many a game like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, putting in time as a source of like difficulty because that's a bit of a hold on. That is a bit of a pain. I do want to say though, another source of difficulty that I can like segue into where it takes the least amount of time, speed running. Doing a challenge for yourself, making it like intentionally harder.
But speed running in and of itself is also very hard. So that is a good point.
And
Like,
depending
you're
on
making
how
it very hard yourself.
yeah, depending on how much you or want to get your time down, that could really sink some time in.
Yeah.
You have
It's
to spend
amazing how
time so you can save time in the video game.
Yes.
it's amazing how like let's take a game some of you may know, Metroid Zero Mission. Game that takes roughly 6 hours to complete. But if you speed run it, I don't know exact time, but like it's amazing how much the seconds in getting your time down turn into hours of real life time. And that's a good difficulty. I think that's good. Your game has incredible replay time, and it's fast enough that people want to see how fast they can do it.
On speedrun.com, hold on, I can pull it up. Currently, it is actually in real time. Like in-game time, it's 24 minutes and 58 seconds.
Holy,
In real time, it's 36 minutes, 52 seconds.
And that's for
holy
any
shit.
percent,
By
right?
C. Scotty W.
That's
That
insane.
was 7 months ago.
What was the percent? Joey asked that.
Any percent?
At normal, any percent.
That's insane.
I can
Yeah.
do 100%. Why is there 9% in miscellaneous? I can go to hard. Let me see.
The hell is 9%?
What is nine? I
That's
assume
just
9% is probably because I know there's a 15% for fusion or one of those where it's I believe that's like like items that you get through the game, like your upgrades. I think it's counting those as items. So certain that I guess the amount of those upgrades added is I'm assuming then 9% of the actual total of items, maybe.
yeah, this is just arbitrary difficulty that you put on yourself. Like some
Okay.
games might have achievements where you do like a speed run within like a certain amount of time to get like a platinum medal or something. But this is all like community driven.
Yeah. Okay, the hard is 42 minutes 33 seconds real time by Mike Food.
That's
And also the in-game
insane.
time is 30 minutes 8 seconds. And that was done 1 month ago. I didn't believe it was that recent
Jesus.
for
That's
80%.
insane.
That is crazy.
And
It
easy
took me
2
like
years ago, also by C. Scotty W. 38 minutes, 1 second real time, 25 minutes, 53 seconds in game time.
that's crazy.
It actually took longer than his normal time that he got.
To think that like oh my god. How hard is that? Like, 'cause that's like world
You
records.
want to know the 100% time?
I do actually.
On 100% normal, by the same guy, C. Scotty W, 5 months ago, Real time, 1 hour, 5 minutes, 51 seconds.
That's insane.
In-game time, 46 minutes, 18 seconds.
What the
That's
hell?
insane.
That takes like years of practice and then just
This-
getting
Yeah.
things down. That's
Well, considering
crazy.
C. Scotty W has been like on the board everywhere.
That's insane. Like that.
His 100% hard run actually is also number one as well.
Who is this guy?
C. Scotty W, real time, just was 2 years ago. 1 hour, 12 minutes, 25 seconds.
That's nuts.
51
the amount
minutes,
that you would
25
have to, like,
seconds.
every second lower. So that's like, so let's say that like that one that was an hour. Like,
Yeah.
that's 1 hour of total gameplay. But the amount of times he did that same hour to get down just a couple of seconds each time to get that world record,
On
that's
easy, normal, and hard.
like, it's amazing how much like the length of a game like, affects its difficulty. You know,
This is, by the way, on
Amazing.
speedrun.com, just to let everyone else know.
I'm gonna pull up speedrun.com because I'm curious certain other games for the future. But that's amazing.
Yeah, and because he went through all that practice and stuff, now he has on the internet as an archive that he had the world record.
The world.
Yeah, we can
record.
literally check and be like, okay, who is this guy?
The
Who
world.
is this
That's
madman?
crazy to think about. World records. Like, you are the best at this in the world. That's amazing. That's such a cool thing.
Definitive proof. Like, the only person that has topped it, I think, is Mike Food with his any percent hard run.
That's nuts.
Like, in any... Hold on, I'm gonna check any category, because he even has the 9% speed run. Like, in those ones. 10% hard mode. Oh, wait, no. Mike beat him in that. Okay. Map completion...
I'm curious about.
All major
Other
upgrades.
people.
Mike Food and Scotty are the ones that are like at the top, right around here. I'd say more. C. Scotty W has like more records here, but Mike Food is also high up on there.
I'm looking at because I'm a big RPG guy. I played a game called East 9, Monster of Nox, and
Spelled YS.
yeah, it's YS, but I believe it's pronounced East or Yeast. It's a phenomenal franchise. It's been around almost as long as Final Fantasy, if not longer. And I put about 50 hours into that game to beat it. I 100% of the game, and I'm looking at because apparently there's a speed run of that, and I'm looking at the runs for this, and trying to find one that's 100%, but I can't seem to find that. But like these runs are all an hour. The quickest is an hour 14 minutes 22 seconds by Lost 1002, and it was on easy mode, and it's any percent. But like I still can't. A game that has about 50 hours of content in it, he beat it in an hour, and like it's an RPG. Like I can sit there and think of things in that game that specifically took me certain amounts of time that I didn't need, or that I did need. I mean, and they were mandatory. And I'm like, how do you get that down to an hour? Like,
I guess like he knows the perfect way to do things and min-maxed his like route to get the fastest time. But even then, I would say it would still come down to luck, because some speedruns come down to luck as well in RNG.
yeah, especially with RPGs, RNG and like battle system is very annoying, but also good, I guess, at the same time, in a weird way.
Speedruns are hard, is what we're saying.
Yes, speedruns are very
hard. Try to get more back on topic, but like speedruns are indeed
Cares
hard
about the
challenges.
topic.
It's very on topic, but I feel like we're focused a lot on...
Game difficulty is a very broad topic, and anything around if something is difficult or not in a game, I believe is par for the course about this whole discussion.
Do you mind if I talk about Pokemon then?
Go for it. There's
Well,
no
see, well, this has probably been talked to death, but I'd like to talk about it right now. Then
no
about
series
how
is off
the
limits.
original, basically how every starters in every Pokemon game, each starter is a difficulty setting.
Mm-hmm.
Each starter is a difficulty setting depending on the region. Of course, with Kanto, it's easiest being Bulbasaur, then Squirtle, and then finally Charmander being the hardest.
Wait,
And that's all due to the game design of like which gyms you got to face first.
Yeah, and what
Yo,
types
I never
are...
realized that. I was always because I always did Charmander. Charmander was my. I was like, why is this game so hard?
But that was normally only for like the first games, though. They made it easier like later on because Charmander. If you level it up to level 16 and get it to Charmeleon, it gets Metal Claw, which allows you to take on like Brock's gym easier.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, I just noticed that. Like, yeah, because Brock's gym is first, so Squirtle and Squirtle and Bulbasaur would be the easiest, and then
And Missy's gym, Bulbasaur
yeah,
would easily handle that, and Squirtle's neutral, but Charmander
yeah,
gets
is weak
bodied there as
again.
well.
That's insane.
But like,
When you think about
I
that.
also want to say there are options too in the games. Like you don't have to always go in with Charmander. I mean, they give you alternate options to face their gyms. Like I
Yeah,
said,
you
you can
catch
get Metal
Pokemon.
Claw. Metal
Oh,
Claw.
well,
Yeah,
that
you
thing.
can. By the time you go to Missy's gym, you get the opportunity to get an Oddish or a Bellsprout on a nearby route to help you take on Misty, or you can get a Pikachu even earlier on in help me out here. I can't forget which. I can't remember.
I can't remember. It's been
I-
too long.
Basically, it's the bug route.
Oh.
It is the bug route. It is. Is it?
We have the internet, boys. Let's use it.
We do have the internet. Let's use it. I have it on the
We
tip
are
of my tongue.
shamelessly using the internet for some of our information.
I mean, that's how we're uploading this. It's all the internet. It's how we're recording this.
Internet, baby. Let's go. Okay, let me see. I can probably pull up the map itself and get its exact name. Let's see. I even got a label. Oh, they even have a labeler here.
What
The
site are
Viridian
you on?
Forest. The Viridian Forest.
I see it.
Route 2. Viridian Forest.
Who?
Where you can also catch a Pikachu in.
But it's very rare. It's very rare, and you'll have to search a while.
There's one specific location that it's higher chance to get a Pikachu, and I do remember it, and I always hit it up.
There's a 5% chance of randomly encountering them in Viridian Forest.
At the very last patch of grass, by the way. Since I play
Yes.
Pokemon a lot, the very last patch of grass in Viridian Forest, that one actually, for some reason, looks like it has a higher amount of... I find Pikachu there all the time, around there. Much easier than anywhere else in the forest.
Interesting.
And it was even... I think it was set up in, the very first Pokemon game. I could also be wrong, but there is a guaranteed spot where Pikachu can be found in that.
Could be luck.
It could be luck. I don't consider myself very lucky, but it could be luck in just Pokemon. It could be just luck in Pokemon, and that's why I like it so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can get Pikachu, Oddish, Bellsprout before you get to Misty. You can get Metal Claw before you get to Brock, and heck, even before you hit the Electric Gym, there's Diglett Cave right freaking there. By right in that town, right in freaking. Is it Vermilion City? God, I play Pokemon a lot. I swear. Right by Vermilion.
You play it more than me,
by...
that's for sure. I used to play it a lot, but not much anymore. I actually got out of this because I thought Black and White and Unova as a whole was very stupid and fruitless region and serious generation.
You're incurring the wrath of Gen 5 lovers right there. But
well, they can come at my throat because Gen 5 lovers, I've never heard one of them say that it's the best region.
My goodness.
Because
if this ever does blow up, we're gonna get so many comments about Gen 5.
Listen, bring the hate. Listen, I don't care. If you want to hate on me, that's fine. Kalos is the worst region, and then Unova comes right after.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Let's.
Nobody likes Kalos. Nobody ever has Kalos is universally the lowest region. I mean, it almost killed Pokemon. That's why they had to revamp it. It did so poorly. That's not a hidden knowledge fact. That's a thing.
I think the region is bad, but they implemented a lot of cool stuff like Mega Evolution.
Yeah.
But let's get back on
And
the hardness difficulty, though.
Oh no, we can.
I
I,
mean,
can
I'm on
segue. I can.
Pokemon, but-
No. Hold the fucking phone. I can segue into making this about difficulty because
Okay.
biggest reason why I hated Black and White because there was no direction. I got lost more than I had in any other video game, and I never. That was the first video game that I got for like a birthday or Christmas that I didn't beat, and I still haven't because I couldn't get past the 7th gym. Couldn't figure out where to go. There was such a lack of direction alongside new mechanics that I didn't have a problem with the new mechanics, so to say, except it didn't seem to explain it very well. And I'm specifically talking about the games here, everybody. Listen, if you like the anime, whatever, that's fine. I don't care. The anime, I feel like, has always been fairly solid for the most part, and the movies have always been pretty good. When I talk about difficulty, as per the name of this entire
It was difficult watching
about
Pokemon
gaming.
season whatever.
But like I'm talking about the games. You can so when you come at my throat for hating Unova, don't come at my throat for hating the movies or whatever. Come at my throat for hating the games because I passionately hate those games. I think that they are the worst in the franchise. One of, if not the worst in the franchise.
Man, Rubbish was my favorite Pokemon. I hate you, says everyone in the comments.
Fucking the names got so lazy, and now this is one of my other big like the names. I know that like look, I know that Kanto and Johto names aren't exactly Albert Einstein over there, but like at least had some love in them. Whereas like Unova had Pokemon like Gears, Clink, and Clank. Like what? And they were just a gear. There was nothing cool about their design. It was just a moving gear. There was nothing about it.
Yeah, and Gen 1's definitely way more creative with Ekans, which is Snake backwards, and then Arbok, which is Cobra
Listen.
backward, and then Muck.
But they looked cool.
I think it was the first iteration of it, and that was why we liked it a lot. And,
yeah, and this was the 5th
after-
iteration.
And he considers it at, hey, you should probably...
We had
put some more
a
effort
literal
into it, I guess.
fetus as a Pokemon.
Yeah, I mean, they did try something new, though. They tried something new.
We had a fetus as a Pokemon.
Can we talk about...
Musarna.
I want to talk about liquid Pokemon in the... Which one that you're most upset about right now? Kalos?
Kalos, weakest region overall, I think. I think the worst games for me were Unova, but Kalos is overall region, including everything from games to the anime to the movies. I think the overall.
Well, actually, no, you didn't finish, but I wanted to bring up the Elite Four.
Oh, I didn't get to the Elite Four in Black because I couldn't get past the 7th gym.
No, I said for the Kalos region, not.
Kalos is X and Y.
Yeah, Kalos I played X, and I had the same problem that I had with Black and White, that there was a direction that I couldn't going. I think
Kalos Elite Four actually had a decently leveled team, I would say.
I didn't make it to the Elite Four.
But
I beat every Pokemon game from Kanto to Sinnoh, and then I didn't beat one in Kalos and Unova, and then I beat Sun and Moon and beat Sword and Shield.
But to go with your point
Okay.
on that, the Elite Four, none of the Elite Four had a full team. All of them had 4 Pokemon. To go with your point,
Regions in the previous regions.
In X and Y, the Elite Four only had 4 Pokemon each, and the champion had 6 Pokemon.
Well, that's not smart. I feel like that's really foolish. Why? What?
I mean,
are you just trying to make a game?
I wanted to bring it back
for the sake of
into the
being
difficulty
easier?
of hey, they're all around level 60, 65,
That's.
which is decent.
I remember when you had to be level 80 to beat the frickin' Elite Four. I'm not saying necessarily that the games were hard. I'm saying that they had a lack of direction and they didn't explain certain things very well, and it very frustrating to play through it.
I mean,
I think I was going to say that people were frustrated with the Elite Four because they were.
Well, I'm sure they were. Now hearing about it, I would have been too. Joe, you had something to say? I'm sorry, I went on a mini rant, but I feel like that's what the podcasts are for.
Yeah, I was gonna swing it in the other direction. Like, you know how you're talking about lack of direction. You can't really. There is no opinions or whatever, or not that. Fucking hell. Basically, that's what happens when there's no direction. You get lost and you get angry because it's too difficult to find your way. I got angry at Sun and Moon for the complete opposite thing, because all they did was hold your hand.
Yes, they did. I'm not going to sit here and tout Sun and Moon's horn. They were very easy games. I'm just saying that I completed them and that they revamped the series in a successful light. But they were not hard games. They were very easy.
Yeah, they were incredibly easy.
Yeah, I beat those games without really hard. And another thing, I beat the first 4 regions. I'm 21, by the way, guys. James, you and Joey, I believe, are 22.
No.
23?
No.
I'm not the same age as him.
We're not the
How
same
old are you
age.
guys?
I'm 24.
Oh.
22.
This I'm a 24-year-old man talking about Pokemon. That's
Oh,
nothing
hey,
new.
listen, man. Who cares?
That's nothing new. Nothing
We
new.
grew up with it.
All in our 20s.
Exactly.
To my point, I was a kid, like a little kid, when I beat these initial 4 regions of games. And a game, you should get better at beating games, like theoretically, as your brain develops. Why was it that I was able to beat these first 4 games, and that might have made them a little easier, maybe easy, but I know the first region was not easy. So, like, I beat these games, and then as I got older, I couldn't beat Black and White. So, it's not necessarily a matter of, but I should also preface people who are going to be like, just use a guide. That was back in the time where I was very strict and flouted never having used a guide in a game. Now I couldn't give a shit. If I want to use a guide to get through a part, I know now that it's not worth the mental stress and turmoil of not using a guide for a few seconds. I will never use a guide to religiously beat a game, but like, listen, man, it's not worth it.
Sometimes a game is not worth the struggle, and sometimes a game's difficulty setting requires you to use a guide. It requires.
Let's look at Castlevania, especially Castlevania 2. Let's open that door let's open that Pandora's box for a second. I love Castlevania. And Joey, I know you're going to take this time to take a couple sips of water because you're not as versed in the series, and that's fine.
I mean, I have been playing Circle of Moon and Aria of Sorrow recently.
Okay, then never mind. You're not allowed to take a couple of sips of water.
He's been
a part of this.
I actually have been seeing him play Castlevania HD recently.
So never mind, Joey. You don't get to take a back seat to this one. You're going to be a part of this. All right. So buckle up. Here we go. Castlevania 2, I think, is the best game in the franchise, and I know that. Look, I've got a couple controversial opinions right now in the eyes of the viewers with hating on Univa's games, because I know that there are Univa fans, and I don't listen. I'm going to steal something that a famous guy named Ego Raptor, who's one of the hosts of Game Grumps, I'm going to steal something that he said. I'm going to shamelessly steal it because I love him. I love and envy the people that love the things that I hate, because that means you have a happier life than I do. So, and
I mean, you found something in the game that you like that I didn't.
Exactly. So I am very happy for anybody that loves Univa and loves. I personally think it's dog shit, but that's me. Back to Castlevania. Castlevania 2 is the most ambitious game in the franchise. And yes, there are some frustrating puzzles that substitute for certain difficulty levels, as the bosses are not very hard. However, every single game in the franchise, barring a couple side things, follows just about the exact same. And that's great because it works. Cool. Same thing with Pokemon. It's the same formula for every game, every of the main games anyway. And it works. So don't stop it because it works. I get that. But I like difference. I like things that stand out to me. And the things that stand out to me the most about Castlevania are Castlevania 2 and how Castlevania 2 really tried something new it didn't hit everything on the head. It didn't hit everything perfectly. There were definitely some moments where I was like, this game is awful. Like the one thing where you have to kneel at the wall and wait for a tornado to come. Like that's I used a guide for that because you're supposed to at this point in time. But like
there's no way you can know some of the stuff in there.
Yeah,
but, like,
basically,
If you make them, unless you read literally everything.
Yeah.
Or
Pay seriously close attention at all times.
or pay money to
love-
And know
Nintendo
something
Power.
you're not supposed
Exactly.
to know.
Like that's what I want to say. Like, don't act like people in the older times were like, don't use a guide because that means you're cheating. It's making it too easy. Don't fucking tell me that you sat there and didn't buy Nintendo Power and like didn't try to. You didn't pay for all those magazines to see the hints.
Got Game Informer, like, hey,
yeah,
how do
exactly.
I do
Like, come on. Just because we have easier guides to follow and better ways to get them does not mean that it's any different. All right, like I don't want to hear anything about the person that stuck
Come
to
on, no one knew about
and
how to
put
get the
14,000 hours into Castlevania 2 because So by the time they got to Dracula after not using the guide, they were broken the game's leveling system. So because of how long,
your older brother, someone that knows what went on in the game.
yeah,
Someone had to tell you.
so yeah, that's not difficult either. That's not difficult to think about. But what I want to say is, I believe that Castlevania 2 provides a different experience than any other franchise, any other game in the different, and therefore it sticks out. And the story's cool. I like the story of Castlevania 2. I think it's neat. Considering it's only the second game, it's got a kind of a Zelda 2. I also love Zelda 2. I've never completely finished it. I'm still stuck on Dark Link in the very end. But I think that a game franchise that has as many games as like Castlevania does, when you find one that's different from all the rest, I think it's an interesting thing, and I think that's something that will hold more meaning in the later years. Considering I believe that Castlevania 2 is looked at in a more favorable light nowadays. Not necessarily that it holds up as well, but like considering how many games there are now and how much of them are just kind of the same, I think that what the fuck is that noise? James.
No, I was just opening up some wrapping. Hold on.
Oh, okay. It's like, okay. But I think that I feel like that's a good thing. I feel like having difficulty involved with puzzles, considering they probably knew their bosses weren't the hardest, and adding some puzzles in there definitely made the difficulty more noticeable. And I like reading. I like, plot in games, no matter how obscure it can be. So I personally like it. I know I'm definitely a minority in that regards, but I don't really care. And the two of you have also played many Castlevania games. So I would like to hear your opinions on why I am so wrong about how Castlevania
Okay, so first off,
is the best. And that's all the time. I'm just kidding.
oh my goodness. But
For it.
yeah.
Hit me with what you got.
Just to summarize, like it felt too different from. I'm just gonna say it felt different, so it's like harder to transition. When the game changes, I feel just a little bit like movement, how an attack feels. It is going to feel difficult as well.
Okay.
But also, not guiding someone is also like also inherently makes your game difficult as well.
Right.
Like if you know nothing, if you don't know anything about the game whatsoever or how it's played, yeah, it's gonna be difficult.
You're gonna have a hard
for-
time.
Like for Simon's Quest. For Simon's Quest,
Yes.
now it's a lot less difficult because you can look up the guide. But like if you didn't have that, or if you didn't want to use a guide, it's gonna be very freaking difficult. You're gonna be frustrated that the game itself doesn't tell you how to do it.
I know it sounds really hypocritical for me to criticize for lack of direction and then love
Simon's Quest
has no direction. But look, it's a game by game thing for me. I'm a hypocrite. I'll openly state it for certain games.
And maybe it's just an exception, rather.
Maybe. Joey, what are your thoughts on Circle of the Moon? 'Cause I love that game.
I honestly think Aria of Sorrow is better.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people think Aria is one of the better games in the franchise.
Yeah, it's just like Symphony of the Night, where you have so much control, you have a lot of freedom with the weapon that you choose, so that you can go with slow and long, or you can go with quick but short. It's just so many
Right.
options, and then it's got amazing level design where you know where to go next. Where Circle of the Moon is just kind of,
Yeah.
I guess I'm kind of partial though, because I like new Castlevania, like new Metroidvania type games more than I
Right.
do the
That's fair.
classic ones. I never really enjoyed the original Castlevania 2. I never played 3, and never played 4.
I never
But-
played 3 either, to be fair.
We're skipping over Symphony of Night, though. You know.
No, I was. That's a whole topic.
Yeah.
Like
Symphony of Night
I
is
wanna,
its own topic. Yeah,
I
understandable.
want to save Symphony of the Night for after our first break.
And after I finished it, because I'm only partway through because I have multiple copies. There's one on PlayStation that I have.
Do we all want to play Symphony of Night first and then come back to it as a topic?
No,
Possibly.
I mean, we can all play it right now.
Or like play it. Not, I'm not saying finish it, but play it.
James, do you have?
I don't
James,
have. A,
I could buy
have
you the new thing real quick. The new collection.
no, don't do that.
Well, look.
Don't do that.
Isn't that
Look.
new collection only on like PS3?
No, it's on Switch. The
Oh.
advanced collection.
Not the advanced collection. I'm talking about the one with Rondo of Blood and
Oh,
Symphony of the Night.
wait, you might be right.
Because there's multiple collections. I know this.
Doesn't the advanced collection have Symphony of the Night?
No, it has Castlevania X.
Mm.
I
Well,
know.
never mind. I'm a big fat liar. So,
There's the advanced collection, anniversary collection, and then there's like a different collection only for PlayStation or some shit.
I don't
That's weird.
own a copy anymore, so I can't.
Well, I mean,
I
James,
used to have like a PlayStation.
have you seen
emulation.
gameplay of Symphony of the Night? Have you like watched a Let's Play or whatever?
I've played it myself, and
Oh,
I have
good.
seen, and I've seen gameplay as well.
I have.
But
I have mixed feelings about Symphony because I love the game. I do think it's great. I haven't beat it yet. I'm in the same boat of that with. I
I
also
don't own a copy anymore.
feel like Symphony of the Night is. Like, I'm making a lot of people dislike me right now. I think Symphony of the Night, but I've got to be honest, like, people are going to love me when it comes to, like, Zelda and, like, RPG talk and whatnot, but, like, people are going to hate me when it comes to, like, certain things, because I know I'm different in opinions. So I'll just go out and say it. I think Symphony of the Night is very, very over. I think that the game has, to bring it back to difficulty, I think the game has too many options that make the game fairly simple. I don't think it's very difficult at all. The only reason I haven't beat it is because I haven't sat down to continue it. So, I love Alucard. I think his entire thing is really cool. Albeit a little lazy, but I think it's really cool.
Fuck, you mean lazy?
I mean that it's lazy. You know, having the son have to fight the father. You know?
After every single other game where it's just, oh hey, look at this, it's another Belmont.
Well, that would be a criticism for me if it wasn't a staple of the franchise's thing.
Well, come on, why does
I
Mario
mean,
need to
but
rescue the princess every
Alucard
single
normally
time?
Listen, I have a lot of criticisms about Mario, and Joe, that is exactly one of them. Mario is but Mario's Mario. It can get away with being the same game a million times. But you could even see, like, after New Super Mario Brothers Wii U, people were like finally seeing, like, okay, we've had the same game now 4 different times. Something new, please. And then they did Odyssey, and everybody loved them again. But, like, I've never been huge on Mario. You know, I like it because it's Mario. But Mario's games are very easy, and they all feel the same. Especially, let me specify. I'm talking about the side-scrolling ones.
Yeah.
And, you know, people will quickly realize about me. The games that I love the most are games that are different from most other games.
Except for Alucard.
Listen, man.
I just want to point out that
I like
Alucard as a
Alucard. I just
character
think
was
that
made way before Castlevania, so I don't know
yeah,
what you
no,
mean.
no, I'm not talking about I'm not talking about the entire history of the name and person Alucard. Alucard in Castlevania. I love him, and I don't want people to think that I don't. I think he's really cool. I love his, mechanics. I think he's really smooth. I think the games that he are in do well for a reason, but I think that it's easy because we're talking about difficulty here. So I think it's easy.
Well, I think it fits with the game, though. It should be easy. You're a mother huffing vampire.
But that's not how the franchise has been, James.
The franchise
The
can be
franchise is
subject to
notorious for being
changes.
fairly difficult.
I mean, if you're the champion and you have the best stats, should things be hard for you? I feel it shouldn't.
No,
be.
but like it should be hard for the player who has to face you.
It does get harder in difficulty as it goes.
Oh yes,
That's
as
because
every
Alucard-
game does, but I feel like
But-
it's not hard. It's not consistent, I guess is the best way to put it.
I feel like the difficulty feels right with the character itself. You being Alucard, it should be a little bit easier early on to face enemies.
But
Since,
why?
Because it fits with the theming of the story, I would say. Or, like,
No, but, like,
as
why-
Alucard is the character.
Why is this successful for Castlevania, whereas that's not what it had been before? Why is Alucard allowed to be easier, and why does that make the game better? It's kind of where
I would have to. I would kind of want to put it into probably power fantasy.
Okay.
If you
Oh.
want a power fantasy through Castlevania, Alucard is a good one. Like,
Okay.
all of a sudden, these things that used to be very freaking hard is now easier for you as Alucard.
All right. Because you do get a taste in the very beginning, as we've all known because we've played it, where you have all the powers and you see how you're just destroying everything, and then death takes it all away from you.
Yeah,
So-
just like Metroid games when you start
Just
with
like
all the
Metroid,
powers.
and yes, just like Metroid, and I do think that's great. I don't have a problem with that because it gives you something to look forward to.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of seeing what you can do, and then having to go and get it back because you want it, and that's cool. That's good game design, in my opinion. But I think even after you take everything away, with everything you get, like all the upgrades and everything, it doesn't feel like Castlevania, because Castlevania was never like, I don't know. Symphony of the Night feels more like an RPG than it does like a Metroidvania game. And
Okay,
I know that those are sometimes introverted or introversed or whatever the word is. But I don't know. I never played Castlevania because I wanted to play an RPG, and I love RPGs. But
I think I get what you're saying now. Is that since it's changed the difficulty, it doesn't feel like it's the same identity of
no, it
the
doesn't.
series. Like, if you were to take the hardness from a Souls game, it wouldn't feel like a Souls game
Yeah,
in that kind of sense.
yeah.
Like, if
I'm trying to make it 7 more minutes. Have our break, but I really gotta pee.
let me just say this one point, and then we can probably take a break. Of like, difficulty in a game sometimes makes a game feel like it's part of that, and for the series. I mean, that's I think why we argued a bit on why Pokemon is different per region, since difficulty changes per region, and we all have like our own idea of what difficulty is, what Pokemon is.
You two have your idea, and I have my own, which is not popular.
I mean, so you like Gen 4 more, right?
4 is phenomenal.
Yeah, but that's just
I'm
because
personally
I grew
a
up
bigger
with
fan
it.
of Gen 3.
Well,
I would probably
let's all say our top 3 regions, or no, let's rank our regions in order of how we like them, and then we'll take our break, just to like give people what we think. I guess since I'm talking too much, I'll go first, so that you guys can finish the floor. And
regions or gens, because
gens. That's what I
meant.
meant. Like
Gens are
we're going based off of the games.
okay.
Okay, and the gens not only include those games, but also the remakes that come along with it. Like Gen 3 includes not only Sapphire, Ruby, and Emerald, it also includes
Fire Red and Leaf Green.
Yeah.
Yes.
But,
yes.
But also that would include Heart Gold and Soul Silver for
Yes.
Gen 4, and I think that,
Yes.
Yes. Games that were made mainstream styled during that generation is all included. So for me, my favorite out of all of them in every form of media, but I know we're just talking about games, but is Hoenn 3, Gen 3. And then it's Gen 3 for me, then 2, then 4, then 1, then the newest one, which I think is 7.
8.
No, it's 8.
Then 8, then 7, then 5, then 6.
Fair enough.
I thought we were just going with top 3.
I thought we were going with top 3.
Okay, top 3 is Hoenn, Johto, Sinnoh. Gen 3, then Gen 2, then Gen 4.
I would be Gen 3, Gen 4, and Gen 1, just because for nostalgia purposes.
Fair.
And then I would be Gen 4, Gen 3, and then for me, Gen 6.
Understandable.
Kalos.
Yeah.
Kalos is your,
I do like
Kalos
Mega Evolution.
Really?
Yeah.
Mega Evolution
okay,
is a mechanic.
We're gonna have a talk about that when we come back.
You take a break. We all take a break.
We're gonna take a quick pause. It will feel like a second for the lot of you because we're just gonna pause. But when we come back, we're gonna have refreshed throats and empty bowels. So have a good one.
Wow.
See you in a second.
Yep.
All right. So that was about a second long. Yeah, we all just did everything in a few seconds. It's done. We're good.
Clearly.
Yeah.
So we left off. Where did we leave off? We were talking about Pokemon.
Yeah, we're talking about our top 3 generations.
Yes.
Yes.
And why? I guess. For me, it's very simple. I think that the classics are better. I think that they executed things better because they had less limitations done. And I feel like that's true for a lot of things. And it may not seem fair to certain generations because obviously by the time Kalos came out, there was already 5 generations before it, and there was a lot that there wasn't much new it could do. It did find a way to do something new. I just personally don't think it was a good thing, but both of my friends here disagree. And, that is how that works. I mean, to be fair, Mega Evolution did only last 1 generation or 2. Was it 1 or 2?
It was 6 and 7.
Okay. And then, because they got rid of it for Dynamax.
Yeah, Dynamax and Gigantamax.
Yeah, so, but that's another thing. Like, the 8th generation did things new and did it successfully, whereas 6, I don't think. But, I have 2 very close friends here who definitely disagree because they both like Kalos. And I think it's trash. But
Wow.
I think Kalos is the worst region overall, including like anime, movies, games, everything. I think Unova is just I think Unova is just the worst game. But Unova's movies were pretty phenomenal.
I honestly would disagree with you on that.
Go for it.
I think Kalos Region anime at least was one of the better ones. Mostly because I felt like there's better build up, better team. Ash was a better character in there. But on the topic of games itself, I would say I like Mega Evolution a lot in terms of theming of the game. In the sense of you had to work to be nice with your Pokemon in order for it to obtain Mega Evolution. You had to which is a theme that Pokemon has struggled with for a long time. They kept on saying it, but for most of the time, these were just I should say dog fights. But for this one time, you're proving that Pokemon relationship with your Pokemon mattered.
I guess.
And I like that in terms of the
but
story
nobody
and the
ever.
theme.
But nobody ever. Oh, I hope nobody ever thought of it as a dog fight.
I mean, there's a whole organization of PETA.
No, I mean, like while you were playing Pokemon, I don't know anybody that was sitting there thinking, "Oh, I'm just making these dogs fight. Like I'm just making these animals." Like you got involved. Like I personally felt relationships with every person that I owned because it was in my mind. Whereas now I had to
I
physically
mean,
for something that I didn't in the past.
personally, it's like I grew older. I did not like feel that in the sense of like these are my friends. Why am I having them fight over me a lot of the time and having them faint? Like I couldn't see that tangibly why they would be my friends. Sometimes I throw them into PC for like ever, and I'm like, man, this kind of is a little bit messed up. But when like I got Mega Evolution, I'm like, this is my friend. Like we earned this through our bond, you know. Like in the terms of difficulty, it's not even like super easy to maintain friendship. Sometimes like if you put them in the PC, that lowers your friendship, depending on the Pokemon game.
But then
And
why is
also
it that
like,
you can still only carry 6 Pokemon? They should have
I
like
mean, in the terms you would have to balance it. You'd have to perform a balancing act of like what your friendship
I don't
is.
like that.
I think.
I don't like that. I feel like working hard enough to achieve something like that and then just having it
I
then
mean, it's not like if you
Pokemon.
maxed them out, you're not going to lose it very fast. You know, you're still going to
Yeah,
be able to
but
Mega
I don't know.
Evolve with them.
I don't like it because I always was like if my Pokemon fainted in one of the previous regions, I was like, you just killed my friend. You just hurt my friend. Now me and my other friends are gonna come and kick your ass. Like that's how I always felt. I always had relationships with my Pokemon, and even if they were in the PC, I was just like, I'm letting you rest. I don't need to bring you out. You're too good for this. Like I was always using my mind to build the relationships of the game, and now I had to kind of like there was a mechanic that was forcing me to do certain things to make it better. Whereas I don't know, there were Pokemon that I wanted to like more, but I couldn't
I
get
don't
things high enough. I don't know.
I
I
don't know if it was like exactly that though. I mean,
eh,
if you treated your Pokemon like you would normally, I'm saying
right.
like still the mechanics are the same as they would normally be in other Pokemon games of getting your friendship up, and like you had to do that for some Pokemon to get them to evolve.
Hmm.
But for this, it felt tangible. Your friendship literally felt tangible. You get what I'm saying? Like it would still be the same way of getting your
I get what
friendship
you're
all the
saying. I
way.
just disagree with you.
Understandable. Fair point. Valid.
I
I
know that
disagree.
Joey put Kalos as his third favorite, so I would like to hear why.
You're probably gonna hate me for my opinion, but
I
it's
couldn't hate you.
no, it's going to be a lot different than you guys, where it's just like, oh hey, friendship and all this kind of stuff. The reason why I put that as my favorite is because I played it, and at the time I was happy from playing it. And as I played it more, I had more happy memories. I never really got to play Gen 1 or 2. Gen 5, I have unhappy memories with, like, around that. And then Gen 7, it's the whole tutorial shit. And 8 was just N64 trees. But with Gen 6, yeah, with Gen 6, it was at a time when I was interacting with my friends and everything was great. I was trading Pokemon with my friends, I was playing through the story, and then I was breeding Pokemon to trade over because they didn't have the starters that I had, or we were battling during lunchtime, and this was all during high school, and I had a blast. And then I stopped playing it, and then my brother got really into shiny hunting, so I went back into it, completed the Pokedex, and did all this crap, and I got 2 shinies completely randomly while I was just trying to get a full living dex, and it just that much fun was all really worth it.
I I understand that from a psychology point of view, but like because you enjoy it because you were enjoying life at the time, it was part of life. I get that. I definitely get that. Um, that's a lot of the reason why I like Fire Emblem Fates. It's a guilty pleasure because um, everything in my life at the time was going pretty damn good, and it was my first Fire Emblem experience. So there's nostalgia, and you know, uh, coinciding with positive memories. But you know, I'm also able to look at those games at an objective standpoint, and they were not great. And I'm sure like that's a big thing, nostalgia versus is it good or not. Um, and I that makes me understand why you like Callus. So I'm glad that you shared that. But it doesn't make me understand why you haven't taken back, like gone back and looked at it from an objective standpoint of the game, or have you, and you still feel the same.
Oh, this is all my opinion, just based on my feelings at the time. Because you
Right.
said this is like favorite gens. I consider
Right.
favorite
Okay,
to be
that's fair.
emotional.
That's
if you
fair. That's
said
a very fair
rank
statement.
them objectively, then I would look at it a different way.
All right, so then let's do that. What is your?
Oh, can I talk about what you'll
Oh,
before we
go.
get to
Oh,
objective?
what do you mean?
get
Can I
my-
talk? You're a host of the show.
I'm not saying how am I? No, I'm saying I just
We're
want
the
to
three
get
of us are
mine
hosts. We
in.
host the show.
We're the three amigos.
I just want to get
Yeah.
mine in.
Then go.
Just about, like, my
you don't have to
reasons,
ask.
Just want to intrude real quick, but I said my favorite gens if no one remembers, even though
I do.
it was Gen 3, then Gen 4, and then Gen 1.
Mhm.
And sometimes these gens are considered unfair and difficult, mostly due to design, but also I find them really fun for a lot of reasons. If I also had to choose a fourth game, I'd choose Gen 2. I mean, fourth Gen 2. I picked the first 4 gens.
Who thinks that these are unfair? Pokemon has always.
If you go to play, they're unfair compared to later gens of Pokemon.
in
the sense
what
of, like,
regard?
a lot of these ones were building blocks and didn't know what to do, and if you go back to them, they feel unfair. Like for Gen 1,
Gen
crits
1 and Gen
are
2,
based-
I agree with that. But like Gen 3 and Gen 4 were, 10 years after the franchise had been made. I don't know if I agree. I mean, maybe not.
I would
You're not
say,
saying, yeah. You go on?
give me just Gen 1, like in terms of like how you got crits, was based entirely
Oh, yeah,
on.
RNG? Yeah, I agree.
No, it wasn't even based on RNG. It was based on speed, a stat. So the more that you got into the game, the more crits there were.
Right.
And if you
That's
decided to
enough.
choose like Squirtle per se, and your your rival had Venusaur, you were pretty much fricked. You were fucked for that run, like a lot of the
Okay.
time, because Razor
Yeah.
Leaf
Yeah.
crit even more often. So if they had a fast Venusaur, that meant crit after crit after crit after crit. It
Okay.
could sweep your team. And also there were a lot of other fast Pokemon like Jolteon or Persian who had moves that could crit, like had higher crit ratio. That could, like with Slash, could just decimate you if like they had a high enough speed stat, and that was unfair. There was some also RNG that was like, since it was the first game, it did some very unfair things that they polished up later on.
So,
Like psychic
I wanna-
typing.
I'm going to interrupt you because I can't. um, uh, I have a confession to make. I've never
What's that?
once played Pokemon and given a shit about the stats. I've always played Pokemon, caught the Pokemon I want, leveled them up, and just toughed it all out.
I'm not saying like in a sense of
No,
like
but I know
this
you
made
two-
it unfair is what I'm saying. It raised the
Okay,
difficulty.
I agree. I understand that. But you
Like-
both have played Pokemon in a different. Like, I never even knew what the stats meant up until like the 6th generation because I didn't care. So like, you guys have more knowledge on that than I do, and I'm not at like, I'm not. I don't feel like I have enough knowledge to base on if the game is harder or easier to that. So I'm gonna actually sit out while you talk about the statistics because that is not a topic that I know at all. But you two, I know from discussions prior, have very good knowledge on like how the stats work. So I would like you to take the reins on that because I suck at it.
I just got to talk about one that's not even part of the stats, but psychic typing had no weakness but bug type in the gen. and there was one bug move that couldn't be learned by a bug. So you couldn't have a stab bug move go up against a psychic type, which makes Sabrina's gym extra hard to beat. Because you didn't have a stab super effective move. At all. Like,
Yeah, they just didn't really think that hard or that much into the
thing
balance.
I didn't know
Ghost
only
was
had
also
one
supposed to work against him. Ghost was supposed to work against Psychic type, but they coded it wrong
Yeah.
Is that true? I didn't
and
know
made that
that.
mistake. And
That'll
there
make-
was only one bug move in the game, and it could be learned by Jolteon and I believe freaking Beedrill.
And then there were so many bug type no, there weren't so many bug type Pokemon. Like, all of them were kind of just.
There was the Weedle line, the Caterpie line, and Pinsir / Scyther.
And then I think Gen 2 had Heracross?
It had Heracross, Ladybug, it added Spinarak, it added a lot of bug type. They've tried to fix a lot of their mistakes in Gen 2.
Yeah.
They even added Steel typing, they added the Dark type, so that way
Armaldo?
Psychic had less. Yeah. They added.
Wait,
Ice.
Armaldo was Gen 3, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Oh.
Yeah.
Armaldo favorite.
It's kind of hard to remember. There's a lot of gens.
They made a lot of, like, whenever they made a mistake in Gen 1, they decided to rectify it in Gen 2, or keep something in terms to, like, make things harder. Like,
Yeah, which is why I also like Gen 6. It added the fairy typing, and that nerfed...
to balance out dragon typing, which had gone
Yes, dragon was so overpowered. The only thing that you could use against dragon is dragon. If the
or
thing...
ice.
Oh yeah,
which
or ice.
are the rarest types in the game, by the way.
Yeah. Which I
Because
understand you're gonna say you hate fairy type because it like retconned certain Pokemon types or something.
I just don't like. No, I just don't like it because I don't like it. There's no real. The more that I think about it, the more less valid my reasoning is. I just don't like it because it seemed like a stupid idea.
I liked it because it balanced the game.
Poison and fire, another thing that they can beat as well.
No, I agree with that, and that's great. I just think the name
in terms of balance for a game, like competitively or
no,
the gameplay in general, it was.
I agree with all of that. I agree with all of that. My disdain for fairy is primitive at best. I just don't like the naming of fairy.
I mean, it also helps because
design of some of the Pokemon. It's very primitive.
Literally every single gen, there is a Dragon type gym leader or Elite Four, or it's the champion, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah,
unless you had an Ice or
Dragon
type.
Pokemon. But the Dragon Pokemon were always so cool, so you always wanted one.
Cool,
but rare.
But it was unfair to go up against if you didn't have one yourself.
Yeah, they were basically pseudo legendaries.
So you got one. You would get Dragonite. You would get.
But what if I didn't want one for my team? If I didn't,
then that's sucks. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly, it freaking sucks.
Yeah,
and that's why they made it weaker, so therefore you had other chances to go up against it.
They gave fairly. They gave you so many more options in that mode. They gave you Pokemon Ami for friendship. They gave you the soccer type thing if you really wanted to care about the EVs and stuff. And that was really important.
I love the EVs.
But back to what I was talking about, why I like those gens, though, even though they didn't have fairy typing or had those, it made it harder for me to go up against gyms. Yeah. But I like the challenge of it.
I did too.
Because when I go up against a freaking dragon type gym leader, I want it to be like, oh dear God, how do I deal with this? Not I have a fairy type and I can take care of its entire team.
And that's why people do.
That's why they were later on in the game.
Yeah, what's the name of the challenge?
Nuzlocke?
Nuzlocke, yes. That's why people do Nuzlocke challenges for most recent gens, because they don't feel it has enough challenge, or they do it for the previous gens because they just want to be a sadist or masochist.
Well, that too.
As someone that has Nuzlocke the previous gens, yes. Yes, sometimes so you can beat them and be like, I did it with very limited options, and still beat the game.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Fair. I can see that.
I like Gen 3, even though I play competitive way, and the physical and special split did not happen then. It was upsetting. Because I wanted to say this game was unfair, mostly because there were Pokemon that were just not usable. Gengar was a physical type Pokemon with trash physical stats. You could not use it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Arcanine was a trash Pokemon that had physical stats, but all fire was considered special. All fire type moves considered special. Arcanine, mostly a physical attacker. So fire type moves, all the stab moves, were trash.
I never got into the Pokemon scene because it felt like you had to use certain Pokemon if you want to win. And I quickly found out that a lot of the Pokemon that I love weren't very good competitively. Like
That's the thing.
My favorite Pokemon is Suicune and Absol. And I know Suicune's not great competitively. I don't know much about Absol.
Slow in Ubers, yeah.
Yeah. So like my Pokemon list would have always been probably Suicune, Groudon, Absol, Sceptile, and then Mightyena, and probably what's his name?
What does he look like?
Those are all in different tiers. I can tell you that right now.
So
it wouldn't be a good team for any for any tier.
Oh my god, and Arcanine. Arcanine would have been the other one. I don't know, because those were my favorite Pokemon.
I mean, you can use a lot of them in certain gen, but I mean, a lot of them are pretty good and can be used. I mean, you don't have to use them in the top tiers because there's lower tiers that you can play competitively, like go into rarely used or never used or underused with Sceptile that I can see right now for Sun and Moon. Let me see for Sword and Shield. It is
my cat is under my bed and she is going crazy. Something.
This is it's on the
I can feel
PU ban list. Sceptile is on the PU ban list.
Wow.
That's it for Sword and Shield, I should say. Ruby and Sapphire, it was OU. Diamond and Pearl, underused, overused, rarely used, underused. But I mean, like, you can go back to just Ruby and Sapphire. Ruby and Sapphire, go to Gen 3 and play in Gen 3, like, competitively. And use only, like, up to Gen 3 Pokemon.
Like, too much thinking for me. I was never a big fan of it. I always played Pokemon for head empty reasons.
I played Pokemon to avoid using my brain.
Yeah, honestly.
I feel like I like the challenge of facing someone online that they know something, that I know something, that they know something, and I can bait them by using this one thing. I can do a bait and switch with a Pokemon, switch out a Pokemon to a different one, make them misuse their move, or hurt themselves, Yeah,
it's all... If you really look into it, every single Pokemon has, like, different things that you can change about. You can have different team comps, different moves that do different things, different stats behind it, and even, like, different... What the hell is that? Like, it's like speedy or quick-witted. It's the attitudes or something that change certain stats. Nature, yes.
Nature.
Yeah.
Modest. There's heart. Well, there's a bunch of them. There's some that just cancel any bonuses, but a lot of them are like mostly it's like fighting games too. Like you have to. It's like microsecond processing, like that you have to do sometimes.
Yeah, it's
rather than it being like turn-based, it's rather like real time.
Yeah, whenever there's
into fighting games for a bit about like difficulty.
Yeah, whenever there's like strategy, it can really be thought-provoking. Like, it's just going back to difficulty. It's just a matter of it's difficult in a thoughtful way,
right?
Because because you have to think about your strategy. You have to think about ways to beat another strategy to cover all these different things. But that's a completely different difficulty than something else. I'd like to call it execution.
You're going up against real people too.
Yeah, it's not your basic easy, medium, hard difficulty. It's difficult based on what you said, thought versus execution.
Yeah.
I mean, do we want to, for fighting games, we introduced you to Street Fighter V at a...
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know, the three of us are very competitive Smash players. Joey here is arguably, well, not arguably, Joey here is the best of us. I would say James and I are fairly even. But we have a whole friend group about that stuff. But the difference is Joey and James specifically are also very good at the other, like, more standard fighting games like Street Fighter, Marvel, Capcom, Injustice, etc. And they tried to introduce me to Street Fighter because I wanted to, and they wanted to. Yeah, it's hard.
We got you to do a combo. We got you to do a couple of...
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot more work than Smash, I would say. Very, very basically put.
Learning moves,
but I couldn't keep up with it.
Inputs, timing.
Yeah, there was so much that, like,
that was just for combos too.
I couldn't even, like, fathom how many. There was not a lot of buttons, but there was so much different ways to hit a button. Just hit one of the buttons. You had to hit it hard, hit it soft. Like, there was
half presses are a thing.
Yeah, so, like, that's a difficulty setting of, like, because you can play the game in a casual sense and not really know what any of that is, but, like, at the same time, if you want to be good at the game, there's such a high.
Yeah, there's so much to learn.
We got experience from, like, playing for a bit. Like, I mean, since we were younger, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, I played Third Strike.
I actually didn't play fighting games as a kid. I mostly just played Smash Melee, and then
I didn't play it competitively. I just knew how to do inputs like Hadouken, like Shoryuken.
I was just a casual.
But, like, that's the thing. Like, fighting games, the difficulty rises from who you're playing against. It doesn't rise from the game itself. The game itself is very simple.
Yes.
Through the fighting games are very simple. You fight against the character. It's not hard. It's not like rocket science. But the person who has the controller next to you decides how difficult the game is going to be. And
I mean, also it's the character who you choose as well.
Well, yes, there's tier lists.
Easier to learn.
There's tier lists. There's archetypes in which one archetype can do better against another archetype than another one.
Mm-hmm. And then there's matchups what makes it easier or harder.
Yeah. Like, there's a whole.
That's the whole reason for a tier list. Who would win what matchup?
There's a tier list for
how they win.
There's a tier list for how difficult different tier lists are. Like, it's fighting games have a very unique way of using difficulty to make a game that can be both extremely easy, extremely fun, and extremely difficult and extremely competitive, all at the same time while not changing anything about the actual game.
Yeah, because whenever you play the game, what changes isn't the game, it's your brain. You think of new strategies, you get the muscle memory for new combos, you fight against new people.
Not everyone plays the same, too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Even with the similar characters.
Yeah. It's different. There's, different skills to do with certain characters, ways to play certain characters. Like,
someone might mash, someone might be a zoner.
Exactly.
Someone might turtle the entire game.
There are things called one-frame links, where you only have like one frame of an input to actually get a combo. There are some people that can do crazy things with those. That do like
for reference, Joey, what is about the time of just for like
one
frame.
For those who aren't familiar, one frame is 1/60th of a second, usually, because games run at 60 frames per second. So one of those,
no combos, and basically that's how combos work, depending on how many frames that you have openings after one move that is hit.
Yes.
Exactly.
frame data,
Yes,
which is also a
which is
hard thing to learn.
Yeah, a whole other difficulty string. Like
On block, how many frames do you have that you can do a block string, aka basically a combo against someone that's blocking?
Like
Yes.
if you guys want to see, and if there are any fighting game lovers listening, which I hope there are, welcome. Please, if you want to see like how perfect you can make certain like fighting games, look up a video called Evo Moment 37, and
Yeah.
that is one of the hardest gaming achievements I think I've ever seen. Where essentially, I forget his name. I think it was like a D.
Daigo.
Daigo.
Daigo parried at Chun-Li's move perfectly, and
Ultimate.
you guys can explain it better because you know more about the actual game's mechanics.
Okay, so I'll explain it perfectly.
Go
So
for it.
You do it then.
yeah. So what happened was they were on like match points. Whoever got the next kill would have won, or maybe
And
not
this is at the
won.
most,
But,
and this is at the most prestige.
yeah,
What was it? Evo.
Evo, and this is like winners finals or something.
Yeah,
it was like top 8.
Yeah,
Okay, so what happened was Justin Wong, the person who was playing Chun-Li, decided, or basically they got the other person who was playing Ken, who's Daigo, down to a pixel of health. What that means is that one hit and they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Even
you
on
can
block. Even if they
Even on
block, they're
blocking.
dead.
yes, because
blocking
there's
damage.
things called chip damage, where even if you block it, some damage still comes through. Now in the game that they're playing, which is called Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, there's this thing called parrying, which you have like 3/60ths or 1/20th of a second to press forward. Now, what's so important about that? Because pressing forward, if you don't get it right, you get hit. You can't block because blocking is holding back. You have to press forward. You're walking into them, and if you get it, there's so much reward. It's all about risk and reward. Now,
Basically, like we were saying before about frames, which each parry you get more frames to do another action.
yes. And so what
But
happened?
this was a whole Chun-Li Ultimate, which had multiple hits.
Yes, it had
How many
multiple
hits?
hits. I think it was 15. 7
Yeah,
for the first
exactly.
part, 7 for the second part, and then the third one is in the air,
final
which
hit.
is even harder to time. And what he did was he parried every single one of them.
including the 15th extra hit at the end, and then he got his own combo and won.
Yes.
Comboed into his own ultimate, and then still. That was crazy.
It was incredibly crazy and hard to pull off. But because he did that, not only in the game where it's so difficult to do that, but with tournament pressure making things even harder.
Against another person.
Against
In front of a big crowd.
let's also make it known who Justin Wong is. He's fighting game players of all time.
Yeah.
Daigo and Justin Wong are like legendary
Yeah,
just for that moment, but they are still also great, amazing players that
So,
practice
like-
practically every day.
I believe Daigo even said himself that he would not be able to again at that time. Like if he tried, like he went for it because it was the only way he could win, and he did it. Like it was insane. But like that's how difficult you can that's the level of difficulty that you can push a game like a fighting game to, where the person next to him was so good that he pushed him to do something that was probably seemed impossible beforehand, and he did it under pressure, and he won. But like if he was playing somebody who doesn't know the game, then it's not really difficult. There's no difficulty. He just beats them. And so that's kind of like difficulty in fighting games is entirely based on who you're playing against, playing at. And even sometimes the stage that you're on, but like,
The situation,
yeah.
just how much bar the other person has, how much meter.
Yeah, and usually with normal like 2D fighting games, it's usually the same stage. I say usually because Street Fighter V has a stage where it's just, hey, your feet are
blocks the feet,
Yeah.
so you can't see some kicks in a couple of frames.
it's But yeah,
That sounds
Is he
terrible.
on the ground yet, or is he just touching the water?
yes, where it's usually just a box, and then there's a limit to how far left you could go, there's a limit to how far right you can go. And then there's some games which have a lot of vertical, but it's mostly just a box, a rectangle where you can play in. Whereas other games like Smash, I'm bringing it back there so that you can get into more of the conversation, Mike.
Thank you.
Yeah. There are different stages with different sizes of blast zones, different platforms where it's a
Like,
platform fighter.
yeah.
You can jump on things. You die by getting to the edge of the screen, so everything around that matters.
And there are legal stages and banned stages. Banned stages are stages that either have things that are unfair and don't work skill, or they are just, not viable in the sense that they're too big. Certain stages like 75M, Big Battlefield, or Great Cave Offensive, etc.
Do we
are
want to talk about banned characters?
no, not yet.
In the sense of how they made games easier for some people,
Well, I
to the
mean,
point that it was boring.
yeah, we're on stages real quick.
Yeah.
Like there
I'm
are,
just saying, yeah.
and there are different characters that benefit from different stages. Like the legal stages where some have platforms, some are D that have it's just a flat top, and you just fight. It's essentially, and there are different characters that are better for different stages. Like Ike's best stage is Battlefield or Pokemon Stadium. I would say it's Battlefield. And that's because Ike has much more of a game plan when he can use platforms to continue his combos. And then he can reach the blast zones with his powerful moveset and kill people easier than if it was just a flat surface. So, and then you can counterpick stages if you lose. It's a whole scene of just mind games, really.
I mean, yes, with or without platforms, sometimes a character will be. I'm gonna say like some stages have sometimes zero effect depending on the character, but also like it changes how a character would also play depending on
Like
the stage.
Lilat. Like Lilat. Lilat affects a lot of characters. Slant on the sides.
I'll talk about like probably Duck Hunt for right now since I made Duck Hunt.
Yeah, go for
Weird
it.
thing, I know. But with platforms in terms of Duck Hunt, when I use a can or projectile, I also got to think of, is a person going to land on that platform, or I can keep a projectile on that platform to then use later, and like I had to work around it. Like it
And
helps
it's frustrating
and
to fight
doesn't help
against
me
because it's good.
sometimes.
It's frustrating to fight against that because it also
They have
rains
played
out.
against me, and they consider my Duck Hunt frustrating. At least Mike
That's
does.
what his Duck Hunt is the reason why I dual main Ike and Greninja instead of just playing Ike, because I could not get around his things with how limited Ike's movement is. But with Greninja, not only could I combo it and then get closer, or not combo, not only could I counter the can and get closer, I'm also much faster and I can string up a combo game, which Duck Hunt has a very bad
Combo game. He does have a terrible
combo game. And what's the word,
He has good
disadvantage
range
state.
Yes.
Duck Hunt has a terrible disadvantage state. His moves require a lot of
Setup.
and you have to have a lot of setups. Whereas when you're in disadvantage state and you're constantly getting hit, Duck Hunt needs to get away, and Duck Hunt isn't exactly the most mobile. He can fly pretty well, but like that also puts him in free fall if you're not used properly. Joey, you main a lot of characters.
Yes.
What do you have to say about the difficulty based off of character choices, stages, how different characters affect stages, how the person you're playing against and what they use, counterplay?
I mean, I'm mostly a jack of all trades, and
You want to talk about Zelda though?
Oh yeah,
sure.
you're tried and true. You're tried and true Zelda.
Yeah. Zelda's mostly about getting that downbeat that night and just setting up for controlling space. And usually a great stage for that is Final Destination, because you have all that flat area. They're going to have to jump over that night, or reflect it, or do whatever to get away from it. to not get hit by it, because it's very powerful.
Yeah, it is. It's frustrating.
Yes. And
I can say I've had trouble with it.
yes. And of course, with controlling space, there's also really a lot of spacing moves for Zelda, because you have to time things, you have to get it right in the space where it needs to be to just control the space. I know I'm saying space a lot, but Final Destination, it's in space.
Spacing is one of the most important parts about Smash. It
Oh,
usually
a lot of
decides how
games.
it usually decides how you get hit and if you get hit or not. So I think it's
Yeah.
important to drill that into people's head.
That's why one fighting game term is called footsies. You have to control to make sure you're in someone's space to safely get in, try to get a safe attack, and then get out.
Get a
Yes.
spin off and not get hit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna test and see if this is going to hit.
And then there's
No.
on shield moves and like we're gonna have an entire podcast discussion on Smash. Later.
But back onto the subject of difficulty, do we have any other things we want to talk
Rhythm
about
games,
right now, or
Joey.
we can continue this?
Rhythm games, Joey knows a lot about.
Yeah.
More so than I do. I actually have to go grab a drink and I'm gonna get a snack. So I don't have much to say on this topic. And I've been saying a lot in general. So I'm going to take a moment, let the two of you talk about this because you two are far more versed in this than I am. And I will be back shortly.
So do you want to go first, or should I?
Since this is about rhythm games, I think I'll go first.
Go for it.
Okay. So with all these things that we've been talking about before, with difficulty on the opponent and just learning the game, these games are about a lifetime of improvements. You get into it, you learn it, and then you get to an even harder level where you have to surpass something. That's rhythm games. You start off with easy, trying to hit the button to the rhythm. You're trying to figure out the controls at first. You're trying to make sure you hit the right button at the right time. If there's multiple buttons or if there's just one, you have to hit it when whatever on-screen prompt happens.
Smaller amount of buttons.
Yeah. Smaller amount of buttons, there's probably going to be a more complex number of rhythms that you can do, which is why it's called rhythm game. But it's all about improvement, and there are so many rhythm games where the difficulty curves is decided upon what songs you want to play to.
I have played Guitar Hero, yes.
Yes.
Guitar Hero, Rock Band, Friday Night Funkin' More. Say, there's also Yakuza mini games.
Yes, the one where I got Bakamitai and I got 100% on it first try.
Yeah, I was really upset about that. It took me a while just to get 90%, and you got it first try 100%.
Technically, it was second try because I tried it with a little bit of my roommates'
Fair enough. I mean,
their accounts when they were doing it. But yeah, rhythm games, it's all about, like, each one has its own set difficulty scale. Like, usually you'll start off with easy, and then you get further along with, like, normal, medium, hard, expert. Then there are some games where it's just, like, insane, where only a robot could actually hit everything in there.
but yeah, I've seen that a lot. But I mean, there's also like different kinds of mapping too. Like I know jacks and stairs that are things that can also be like in the chart of a rhythm game that some people find hard, some people don't.
Yeah,
Depending on which one it is.
It's all about preference, including the rhythm games that you play. I am one for what's it called? It's called Eterna on this version, but it's like Stepmania. It's supposed to be Dance Dance Revolution, but instead you're using the arrow keys on your keyboard.
Dance Dance Revolution, the other rhythm game.
Yes. The one that tricks people into exercising.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's all about preference in what you want to play, what maps you want to play, and you don't even have to beat every single easy map to improve. You can just beat a couple and then move on to the easier normal maps, because despite it being the same kind of difficulty like setting that it has in the game, like the name for it, it has so much nuance, so much just flexibility.
Probably one that I can talk about is easy that everyone knows right now. Probably is that like there's of course normal and hard difficulty. You can play. It's the same song on normal as you play on hard, but you get more keys to press in, and you're more involved with the song than you were.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So
And then
this
there's
might
also
be-
remixes as well
Sorry.
of those songs that you can play again. It's similar to the song before, but it adds like more flavor and it sounds different.
So this may be a dumb question, but I'm all for dumb questions. So, I excused myself because I'm not very versed in the topic of. Is that a dead bug? Oh, good. Is it
So you're
dead?
not very well versed in the topic of rhythm games?
Of Dead Bug.
Yes. Sorry, I have ADHD. For those of you who don't know,
It's fine. I do
couldn't
too.
Tell already. Hold on. I can't focus. It's a bug in my room, so I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna kill this thing.
Okay, we'll continue. You were saying, Joey?
Son of a
I don't
bitch.
remember what I was saying. You were talking about how,
Excellent.
like, in normal
How did you
versus
get
hard.
here? Just fall from the
Yes,
ceiling?
normal like charts
Where?
change depending on the difficulty because you
Yeah.
get more
Why
involved
on
with the
my
song,
bed?
or add in more keys, or heck, you can
Of
even
all
get a
places.
different version of the song if you play it at a higher difficulty.
Leg.
And then there's games like Dance of Fire and
Sorry, I'm
Ice
back.
where you're playing the rhythm game to, like, an actual path. You have to, based on the rhythm of the song and then the angle of the path, you have to press it when the, like, next step is supposed to be there. And it's so, you can get so deep with rhythm games.
All right, I'm back. So sorry about that. What I was saying was I'm not very. I took a break because rhythm game discussion. Period. I've only done a couple mini games in rhythm game, but is the dumb question I have to ask is Guitar Hero and things like Beat Saber, are those considered
Yes.
I mean, I was just saying, I was talking about like Guitar Hero is, but I mean, it is a rhythm game, so it's Dance Central.
because I've played a lot of Beat Saber.
Because like you're hitting something to the rhythm. At that point, it is a rhythm.
Yeah,
Okay.
rhythm games are a very wide genre. Thing with
Okay.
being very wide is there's a lot of nuance and
There is
differences in controls, differences in just the way the things read. Some are down scrollers, some are up scrollers, some aren't even scrollers.
some are
Instruments,
fucking,
dance pads,
Yeah.
some are VR.
VR controllers, pressing keys, WASD.
Yeah, honestly, it can get the furthest away from, like, playing the real sense of rhythm and music, playing an instrument, or it can be the furthest from it. It can be the closest, like Rock Band, in which case you can, like Rock Band 3, you can play an actual keyboard to a song and play like an actual guitar, play an actual whatever.
Isn't there
drum.
Rocksmith?
Yeah,
Rocksmith
Rocksmith.
that tried to teach people how to
Yeah.
play the guitar to rhythm game.
It's basically learning how to play an instrument, and that's music. That's learning rhythm. Or it could be something the furthest from it, like, I don't know, Muse Dash, where you're just killing whatever monsters as you dash to a boss.
Fruit slice.
For
You do it to
That
a
is-
certain rhythm.
That brings a whole new thing to like difficult. How fast
I mean,
the song stays the same, but like the amount of things that you have to hit. Like I'm going to use Beat Saber because it's the only one that I really know. But for Beat Saber, the amount of like swings or buttons that you have to hit changes based off of how like the difficulty that you choose. The song is the same.
I was talking about that earlier while you were gone.
Yeah.
depending
okay,
on-
so I'm just late.
Just wanted to know. Just wanted to let you know before you went off on it.
Thank you.
Like depending on the difficulty, you're getting more involved with the song, and there's more keys to hit.
Yeah.
And there's more difficulty in different things, like staying with Beat Saber. Depending on the angle that you hit it, it could be more or less inconvenient, or more or less convenient to hit the next note, because then you have to prepare, bring it to the bass, or you have to prepare to hit it from a different angle. And there's, again, so much nuance.
It's very
Listen,
difficult.
for Beat Saber, you
Beat
need
Saber's
room.
hard, man.
If I don't have any room for Beat Saber, I can't play. Therefore, I'm on ultimate difficulty.
Yes.
Beat Saber's hard.
Yeah.
Beat Saber is like an exercise. It takes so much out of me. I'm sweating by.
You get to use physical energy for that one. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I would say you'd have to move your entire arms around. Like,
For us
remember to
gamers,
connect-
anything involving physical energy instantly buffed up a notch on.
I'd say it's a non-esport because it's not like the classic term esport where it's a bunch of
It's
teams.
a bowling of
Listen,
esports.
if Dance
Is it the
Dance
bowling of
Revolution-
esports?
Yes.
Listen, if Dance Dance Revolution is considered a valid sport, I think it's safe to say that Beat Saber's close to it.
No, I'd say that it's also a sport. It takes endurance and body endurance.
And physical exertion.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That hurts.
Instead of just using your fingers or...
Yeah. And that also leads into, if the song's shorter, then it might have more difficulty in just hitting the notes.
I remember playing Bluebird on Rock Band 3.
Oh, God.
That took forever. I was guitaring it, of course, so I...
Yeah. It's a song that's not only long, so you need endurance, it gets harder as you go through it.
For those that don't know, Bluebird is a 10-minute song.
No, it's not Bluebird, it's Freebird.
Freebird, yeah. Not Bluebird.
I was going to say, what the hell is Bluebird?
I'm sorry. Sorry, I've been saying it wrong for a bit.
Freebird is a 9-minute, 7-second song. Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
By Led Zeppelin.
No, Leonard
Skinner.
I'm sorry.
Leonard Skinner.
It's Leonard Skinner. My fault. I'm dumb.
Leonard Skinner. It is mostly a guitar solo. And that takes a lot out of you playing it in game, even if you're playing it on easy.
Yes. That is a... I love that song, by the way.
I remember I couldn't feel my arm one time after I was done playing it, because it was just that exerting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe you. I believe you.
Yeah, some games may take mental, stamina. Other games, like that, take physical stamina.
Hey, man, you remember the beam clashes of Dragon Balls?
Oh, God.
Had to freaking... you know what I'm talking about with Budokai Tenkaichi, right?
Yeah, burst limit, those types of games.
You had to freaking
roll
your palm on that analog stick.
Just like the Mario Party mini games.
Yeah, to win the clash. I remember that.
Yeah, just like Mario Party mini games.
I did it with my friends, of course, and of course that was physically exerting. It was like,
yeah.
I broke many a joystick game.
Nowadays,
that's not a joke.
Nowadays, it's easier to break them because of drift.
Capable to play the video game.
Joey, that is a whole different topic.
Yeah,
I had to do that once for another Yakuza mini game where you had to mash for one, and I'm just like, oh God, please no.
Yeah,
I'm so tired. Please don't have me mash this one time.
Yeah.
My thumb hurts.
Just the fine motor skills that you need for it.
It's even motor skills. It's just mashing sometimes. That free.
Yeah. I'd say those are motor skills. You're pressing a button with a lot of intent over and over again. Unless if you're just actually mashing, in which case you're just pressing.
We want to talk about the difficult. I mean, in terms of hard button pressing, freaking QuickTime events.
Oh God, no, that's just reaction time.
That's reaction time, but sometimes you do have to mash, and you have to do the analog spin twirl, and also you have to be ready, mentally too, for it.
Fuck.
Those are in a lot of games.
Fuck QuickTime events, man.
Some people like them.
I'm actually really decent at them, and I don't mess them up often. That's mostly because I, again, got trained by a Dragon Ball Z game called Ultimate Tenkaichi. I beat the entire story and optional missions, and those were all QuickTime events. And they hurt. That was more mentally painful than it was physically.
Here's the thing. You're wrong. I'm just kidding. No, like, what were we talking about? I zoned out for a second.
Quick time
God damn
events
it.
now. We're talking
time
about quick
events.
time events at this point.
So that ties into something that I wanted to talk about. RPGs, quick time events, and RPGs are the bane of my fucking. Because you are trained to use moves properly, yes, but you're not trained to hit a button properly necessarily. You're trained to combo with different button combinations. You're not trained to hit a button at a specific time, and then usually the quick time events, when you fail them, you don't go right back to right before the quick time event. You go back to the entire beginning of the fight, and like it's just an unnecessary challenge. Like the whole game.
Some games do that. Not all of them. Option. I mean,
No, of
I
course
wouldn't say
not
it's
all of them.
optional, but
If they all did it, I wouldn't love RPGs as much. In fact, I probably wouldn't
I
like.
could bring up Yakuza again that has a ton of quick time events that even if you fail them, you still get damage, but just not enough.
I actually have a question for you. How do you feel about the
Oh.
QuickTime events for Paper Mario?
Which one?
Paper Mario, just anyone.
I mean, there's also the Superstar games that have quick time events as well.
Yeah, where
I've only played Paper Mario. I love them both, by the way. How do I feel about them? I think they suck.
Wow.
well,
Wow. I mean,
My opinion doesn't change. My opinion on QuickTime events not being.
you're cutting out for me.
Am I? Oh shit! Hold on. I know exactly why that is. Am I better? Hello?
A little
about
bit,
the same.
yeah.
Shit.
We can
Shit.
continue on while you try to fix that.
Shit. It's because I'm low. Okay, so while we're doing this, I'm also trying to bring up a certain game so that I can better remember it. And it's loading, so that's probably taking away from the quality of my voice.
You think of that, and we'll continue talking about what we want to go stick with quick time events and like.
Yeah.
Everything's freezing. Oh god, I'm just gonna mute for a second.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So for quick time events, I personally find them easier than other things, mostly because reaction time. But I mean, there's some games like Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm or the newly released Demon Slayer game where they have those to like get special endings and also to finish a match, which might feel tiring at the very end of a match. Like, oh man, I gotta hit this quick time event now,
I would say an even
or
more.
like I mess it up.
I would say an even more recent game, Metroid Dread. It doesn't have too many QuickTime events. Like with the regular enemies, you can do a melee counter when they flash like white, which is a little bit fast, but it's not as bad as the Emmys. Oh my goodness, those are QuickTime.
I don't have Metroid yet, so I wouldn't know. But then again, you also might not have the anime games I'm talking about.
Yeah, I don't.
So that's fair.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find an analog. With the Emmys, oh my goodness, when they go in for the kill, you have 2 chances to live. And if you don't, you just game over immediately.
Jeez. That's
Yeah,
pretty...
but it does have very lenient checkpoints. And every single Emmy room that you go into has like a different Emmy spawn area. It's basically like
I would still feel like that's a lot of pressure though too. Like
it's
quick time events,
dreadful.
depending on the amount of pressure they lead onto, I think makes it more difficult.
Yeah, it's
because
to
like
add
if
to
the whole game is riding on, like, some are just like game overs if you mess them up. Some are just like, okay, you didn't get the special thing. Some are like, oh, that didn't affect it that much.
Yeah.
And the pressure of that can make it more difficult.
It can. I'd say that the QuickTime events for that only add to the dread of the game. Hence why Metroid Dread. Because you can't do anything to them until you get like a specific power up that only happens once per game area. And so you're just trying to run away and survive. So QuickTime events can just add like a survival stressful thing. Then again, I'm not the best at reaction time things. Like whenever I play fighting games and someone starts to grab me, I'm never quick on the grab back button to like, I don't know, cancel it.
To be fair, I never that is a very reaction based thing. I don't hit the But that's normally because I just decide to take them and I'll be like, okay, what's my wake up option now?
Yeah. Actually, it's very, very tight that sometimes I would say it's more read-based. Like, you have to read them doing the grab.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it's so, like, short time, like, just such short time frame between the grab overs. Like, you have to be like, okay, they're running up to grab me in order to counter it. But that's
Yeah.
also a lot of fighting games is knowing how to read someone, too. It's like, oh, they're going to come up and do this, or they're going to do that and block this, or I can fake this.
Yeah.
Which is something that only happens at higher level play, because both of you know how to do the basic stuff. So basically got to figure out what they're going to do.
Yeah. It goes into more of, okay, do I know my buttons enough to punish your buttons? Into, oh shit, everything's like overheads, grabs, okizeme, which is like, wake up.
Everything speeds up all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Or rather, the gameplay slows down for you, but it happens in a shorter time frame.
Yes. It's like Coyote time. Everything happens so quickly, but it's such a finite number of things that you just have to have the right, like, rock, paper, scissors to
Am I
counter
better?
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Am I better?
Yeah, it sounds better. Like, mostly,
Hey,
you gotta
I'm
decide, like,
back.
oh, this person's gonna come up and do one of these two things. What is the best way to counter that?
Yeah.
We still talking about quick time events? Has anybody brought up Metroid?
Yes, I did.
Joey has brought up Metroid Dread, and
So
you can go back into it.
Has he talked about the Amiibots?
Yes.
Exactly that.
The
I mean, you could
Amiibots.
continue it. He only touched on it for.
Holy shit. Well, Joey and I are big avid Metroid. I think we both actually also 100% completed the game.
At least normal mode.
Yes, and I can personally say that the only thing I disliked about the game was the quick time events with the Amiibo. They were very inconsistent. There was no pattern that I could find anyway.
I mean,
And-
that's the point.
Yeah, but like with quick time events in general, it's usually the same quick time. It's usually the same speed. Whereas every time you ran into the Emmy, you didn't know exactly when it was going to do its quick time event.
Yeah, I'd say that's the point, because it's trying to give you a sense of dread, running away from something that you don't entirely understand.
I guess that's fair in context to the game.
Yeah. And there's two ways that you can
yeah.
counter it. Number one, or there's actually three. Number one, wait for good RNG so that it never like goes to your path so you can just get a straight shot. Number two, just try to avoid it with the best of your skill and the best of your abilities. Or number three, if you can't avoid it that well and you get terrible RNG, you can try to do a last chance, last life counter. And it only sometimes works because it isn't supposed to be relied on.
Right.
All about
Yeah.
counterplay.
I mean, do we want to talk about how horror is like makes a game?
Horror brings its own elements of difficulty.
You as a person are like nerfed, so you can't perform at your best.
Simply like Outlast difficulty, like games like Outlast, Amnesia, horror. I'm a big horror nut. I love horror games. Games like that, a lot of the horror comes from helplessness. And a lot of the difficulty comes from how limited your resources are and how helpless you are. And so in that regards, yes, Dread, I understand why I did that. I still understand why I did that. But it's not supposed to be a horror game from what I know.
It's literally called Metroid Dread. You're supposed to dread the enemies.
But are you afraid in that game? I was not. Any fear. There wasn't any jump scares. There wasn't any like. There was no.
I enjoyed the
overall.
I enjoyed the atmospheric horror of, oh shit, something's chasing me. I need to get away, or I need to avoid it at all costs.
That feeling for me wore off after the second.
And then it became more of an annoying thing to just try like avoid it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But I'd say that atmospheric horror.
That's when the game is getting harder, isn't it?
Yeah.
At the point when the game is starting to get harder anyway, so around the same.
I love Metroid Dread. It's one of my favorite games, and it's my favorite Metroid. It's phenomenal. The fact that its only flaw for me is the quick time events, and they're not even that, much of a flaw, says a lot.
Yeah,
I
it's a
love
game design.
Yeah, exactly. The other thing about difficulty to talk about, or actually, I kind of want to take our second and last break before I go into it, just because we have been talking now for another solid hour.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I care a lot about this next one. So do you guys want to just take a quick break?
Yeah,
sure.
We'll do a quick break.
All right, cool. Well, I'll see you back in a couple seconds.
Hello, we're back after a short gotten bathroom, and now we want you to get. Please don't tell me I'm cutting out again.
You were, but now it's
Please.
fine.
You were,
Okay.
but it was fine now. That was funny.
Okay, wonderful. But we also had a little technical. Now we're back. We're on to. Don't. I see myself cutting out. I see the green across my screen, like slowly going.
Oh,
This is pain. Hold on.
it could be
Oh
like
my
the
God.
noise canceling type thing.
I turned that
funny.
off.
Okay, if I keep this in, just so you know, these are technical difficulties.
But it's
Keep it
funny.
in. It would be funny. It would be
It's
funny.
funny. It is funny.
Uh,
I'll start. How about that? All right, refresh.
Add noise reduction.
Okay, welcome back. I know you've been back now for a few minutes, but welcome back to the Gameroom Discourse Podcast. And where we left off, we were talking about horror difficulty and how it's different based on. It gets more leeway in the sense that the games are meant to be helpless and feel like you don't have a lot. You're very limited and you're very helpless, and you're you against like incredible odds, and that is the foundation of why horror is sometimes hard and why it's scary.
yeah, because they give you less options to feel more helpless, and then
Yes.
it's also the problem of trying to do things under pressure or under different, like,
Right.
stressful mindset.
Right.
And horror does induce quite the stressful
Yes.
mindset,
Exactly.
especially if it like affects you to a serious extent. Like, oh, you
Like,
gave me the option to run now. I guess I gotta use
I guess I
that shit.
gotta
Huh?
run now. Yeah, exactly. That is universal. Like in a horror, when it usually tells you how to use controls throughout the game, and when it tells you to run, that's very much like, oh, well, something's about to happen. My cat is
You're also
climbing my window,
Of course.
and it's a flat window, so it's funny to watch.
but yeah,
On topic, yeah.
when like you're also looking over your shoulder too, so you're not always like focused on the task at hand as well.
Yes.
So you're just like, what was that noise? Was that something I should be scared of? Is that it?
And that's the
That
thing,
little
like,
move back there.
and that's the thing, like horror gets a bit of a like leeway in that regards. Like it's supposed to be hard because you don't have a lot that you can do. Whereas if say a Mario game tried to be hard based off of not having a lot that you can do, it would fail tremendously. Because, first off, Mario's not supposed to be scary, and second off, Mario's built on having so many abilities to do so many different things that taking all that away and trying to make the same game wouldn't work, because that wouldn't be seen as difficult. That would just be seen as lazy and dumb.
Actually, you reminded me of Mega Man. Going back to Ego Raptor, the Sequelitis series.
Sequelitis.
Yeah, Sequelitis series.
Yeah.
Or you reminded me of Mega Man X argument of like you basically had all the same things that you did as a regular man, but it didn't help you when it came to that one fight.
Riley,
you
you
couldn't see
cannot
any
jump up
health
there.
bar.
Yeah.
Like you learned abilities as you went on. Like you had base ability, you didn't think you were going to get anything else, and you felt helpless when you used everything that you knew anyway.
Yeah.
And like that was
Yeah,
the
pretty
sense
much.
of horror. Like I don't know what to do here. What am I supposed to do? I don't know what this game provides.
And then as you play the game more, you get to earn that power. It becomes easier through your familiarity with the kit that you have.
in the
Exactly.
sense like it becomes less like horrific for you as you go through the game. Like nothing's new to you, and you learn everything.
Which
And
brings me to the final thing about difficulty with regards to like learning things and doing different, mechanics and well, this will give it away, but spells and moves and uh, the very broad genre of gaming known as RPGs. Now, RPGs, I'm going to preface, are my favorite games, and I love them all. I prefer action RPGs over JRPGs, but now there's a very distinct difference in difficulty between action RPGs and turn-based RPGs. In my opinion, I think all our action RPGs are inherently easier and take less time to beat than turn-based RPGs, simply based on the fact that the turn-based RPG sees you following whatever storyline and adventuring, and then being taken out of that experience into a battle you have to overcome to get back into the story and progress in the story. Whereas in an action RPG, that time is cut down because it's all one fluid motion. You go from a not a battle to in a battle, all in the same adventuring area. You're not being taken into a different cutscene, into a different area. It's all one fluid motion, and I believe that makes it easier because you can see it coming, you can plan for it, you can run away from it. Whereas certain turn-based RPGs, you can't run away, or it's not always successful way, and sometimes you don't know how many things you're fighting against. In typical turn-based RPGs, you will see one enemy, and then when you run into it, there's like 7 enemies that you're actually fighting.
I have to disagree with you there. I mean, personally, I think turn-based RPGs are a lot easier since you have all the time in the world to plan something out. I mean, I wouldn't use Final Fantasy like 7 because that's more of real time when you come down to it, since you're like time limits to like when you can perform an action and the enemy can attack while you're just waiting there,
Yeah,
like deciding what to do.
as you're waiting to decide what to do, or their move is going off, or you're waiting for the limit gauge to fill up.
But in turn-based, like you have all the time in the world to decide your action. You can better
Well, you
like
do.
analyze your
That's the
opponent.
same, and you have all the time that you want in action RPGs. Just don't approach the thing.
For this, you're approaching them, but you can like analyze them. You can still run away. I feel in turn-based RPGs, but you have
Well,
more
sometimes.
time in between each and every action. Like each action can take like
No, what
10 minutes because
in turn-based RPG, I'm gonna interrupt you because you're wrong. Turn
wow.
In turn-based RPGs, you have to actually go into the fight, go into the different like battle music, the different scene, everything to see what you're fighting and see its stats, and like then you can plan on it. And sometimes you can't run away very fast. Sometimes running away fails. Whereas
I
in an
wouldn't say
RPG,
that. Like, there's a lot of enemies you can see, and like you can be prepared on what
but
it's
you
going
can't see
to
their
do.
stats unless you start the battle.
Then again,
Yeah,
you
I
can't see
mean,
the
some
stats
action
for action
RPGs can't see
RPGs.
this.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
In a lot of them they show the health.
They show the health. That's it.
Well,
Do you know their defense?
it
Do you know their how much attacks
And
that they
in a
do?
lot of them, yeah. In a lot
unless
of
you
them, yeah.
Really, you
engage in
see
them.
exact numbers
You
in
can,
action
yeah.
RPGs?
In certain, yeah.
Really? Because the ones that I play, they don't show anything. You're just
In Yeast you can. In Yeast you can. In
I mean, like I would say, like you can get the stats after you've fought them once already. But at that point, like they give you the stats, and then at that point you can have like a catalog that they give you on a lot of games.
that's in most RPGs. I would
Then I
say.
wouldn't have to worry about like going into a battle that I
Well, I'm
don't
talking about like
really know.
talking about boss
Boss
fights.
fights, that's I feel like you shouldn't I feel like you would have to prepare for that anyway. Like
Well, no,
you wouldn't know.
my whole point is the fact that the difficulty is easier because now action RPGs are my preferred. So I'm not shitting on them. I'm not shitting on any of it. But like I'm saying that when it comes to an action RPG, you can see a lot more and like prevent the fight if you don't want to fight it a lot easier in certain turn-based RPGs.
I would have to well, I mean I would present one case of like until you enter a room sometimes you don't see the exact boss or something. I'll play like a Souls game. I'll say Dark Souls, you wouldn't be able to see the boss unless you went through the fog, and you would have no idea until like you went and faced him the first time.
And you wouldn't be able
I
to
mean, of course,
escape because you can't. You have to face him
like
or
sometimes
die.
bosses trap you.
Well, I've never played Dark
anyway.
Souls, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I'd say there's a lot of games where they just trap you and you have no way to escape. But that depends on the game.
That's fair.
And
Yeah,
I mean, like, there's other games where it's turn-based where you can escape too, even bosses.
yeah.
But in what
I
I'm
mean, like-
saying in action RPGs, not only can you escape most of them, like in the fight, but you also can eat much more easily because you're free roaming the whole time, and it's not like a random boss battle encounter. You can always see the enemy in front of you, and you just run back. It's like you can physically just move your character back and not fight it. Whereas in like things like
I mean-
Pokemon, if you're just running in the grass, it's a random encounter. You don't usually see. Now, obviously, in the newer one,
But they
That's-
give you, I would say they give you options to avoid that anyway. I mean, there's repels in Pokemon, even all the way early on, so that way you don't have to have random.
that is true.
Final Fantasy, you
Repels.
can turn off random encounters, and like you can only face like bosses that are preset and all that.
Yeah, but when did that start? Because that was not in the first one.
I would say that would be a design flaw because that was just an early game. But Pokemon, yes, it did have it all back in
Yeah,
Like
I
the
know. I know
first-
Pokemon did. I was talking about
Final Fantasy. I don't remember, man. I remember having it in Final Fantasy VII, and I don't remember having it in Final Fantasy One. Somewhere in between there, they added the option to completely remove random encounters if you wanted to. But there's also like
Interesting.
a way to lessen them as well. In the
I
game.
own Final Fantasy IV PSP. I can actually turn it on right now.
Hold
Did you
on.
see?
We have access to the internet. We
Oh
can,
wait, yeah, we have the internet. When
So while you're searching that, I'll give my opinion based on this kind of thing. I wouldn't say turn-based RPGs or action RPGs are more or less difficult than the other one. It's a difference of type of difficulty. Because one is thought-based difficulty, where you have to think about your move before you do it. And then you have to wait until their turn's done to then do your turn. So you have all this time for
I have it.
planning, researching, just getting all the information that you can. And I'm going to say, like, yes, you're in the encounter, but now it's your turn. The enemy can't do anything. Well, I'd say most turn-based RPGs, where it's your turn with your character that you control. The boss or whatever, the enemy can't do anything, so you have all the time in the world before you make your turn to think about it. And that's not really execution heavy. It's just you select something off a list and then you do it. It's thought based. You need to think before you act to then.
and that's fair. I agree with that to an extent.
Whereas action RPGs,
yeah.
you have less time to react. It's all about reading your opponent's movements in a 3D or maybe
Yes.
2D space. And then
sometimes they have rhythms and like stages
Yes.
as well.
yeah.
I do believe that turn-based RPGs do take for thought, and I believe that makes it a longer experience.
And then there are turn-based RPGs where it does take execution, like Paper Mario with the QuickTime events, or like Bug
Yeah.
Fables, which is kind of just also like Paper Mario.
Yeah, I mean, Bug Fables is essentially it is Paper Mario and 1,000 Year Door, just
Yeah.
a different game.
And then there are some action RPGs where it takes like mechanical thought, like you have to think about what moves to do because some don't work in certain situations. You have to think about spacing, you have to think about how to time
Could I,
it. Yeah.
yeah. Can I say like about Skyrim, like when you're stealth archering, which
Right.
is apparently someone that everyone tank, sword and board stuff. But I mean, a lot of people like the stealth archer. You can use your bow and arrows to set off sound somewhere else, so they go to that area,
Right.
and then you can snipe them. Or
You could do that in Breath of the
like,
Wild,
stepping
where
back.
you draw the attention of one thing, and then you like for the Lionels. If have both of you played Breath of the Wild?
I have.
Yeah, I have played.
Okay, so you know the Lionels, right?
Yes.
Yes.
You can shoot the arrow and draw its attention in one place, and then up behind it. So that is but that's also an action RPG, not a turn-based RPG.
I'm saying that like they both have elements of like
Oh yeah, no, I don't
you
mean
have to think.
Yeah, I don't mean, and I should probably preface this. I don't mean that it's a stark difficult difference where it's it's far. There are definitely some action RPGs that are harder than like certain turn-based RPGs just based on the game. But I meant more as a genre whole. I feel like I personally have had an easier time beating action RPGs than I have with turn-based RPGs, and maybe that's just me. I mean, that could just be me.
I think that's mostly because turn-based RPGs are a more niche genre than action RPGs. Action
I wouldn't say
RPGs,
niche.
not niche, just more less played by the general public. The general public doesn't really play games that often, or
With the
when they
exception
do.
of- I would say
Yeah.
When they
exception of
do, it's like
Pokemon, I would
fucking
say.
sports games.
I'd say with
or
the
Call of
exception of
Duty.
Pokemon.
Yeah, with the exception of Pokemon.
Oh, they
Pokemon
play-
is a
they
turn-based
play
RPG that is
play the
played by nearly
FIFA.
everyone.
They play the FIFAs, the fucking sports games.
Let's not downgrade. Let's not downgrade sports games here.
Oh, they're not. They're just
I
all the
mean-
same.
Granted,
I-
they add new players each time, and they all have different
Well-
mechanics based on the player.
And they have different
guess
stats.
But I mean, I am still under
Mhm.
that each is the same, just a new roster. Every
Yeah,
paying for the
that's
new
exactly what
roster
it is.
basically for the full
That's not a
price
bad
of a
thing. I
new
mean, look at
game.
Pokemon. It's not a bad thing.
But also, they do polish it every now and then as well.
Again,
and
look
there
at
is
Pokemon. It's the
also-
same thing.
There's also learning the game of itself. Of like, okay, how does one play football and also American football?
Right.
American
again-
football.
If the formula isn't broken, then fix it. Look at Pokemon. So
I
get
mean, those games are still fun, and it has a great audience. I also
yeah.
did play it for a while.
I did
just don't
play
play
certain.
them
I used to play
because
certain
I
sport games. I was not shitting on saying that they're popular amongst the general public.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can say the same thing about Call of Duty.
That's what I did say. Call of Duty.
I didn't hear you. I didn't hear you. say
I
Call
said
of Duty.
that's like games like Call of Duty and sports games. That's what I said.
I mean, yeah, you can't. Yeah, those are more popular with the casual, the people that
General
don't
public.
always like play outside of that. Like normally,
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that.
yeah.
I just personally dislike them.
Nothing wrong with that. I just don't like you personally.
Listen, like just because I dislike something does not mean there's anything wrong.
Yeah, just like Gen
I
6.
just you have bad
Yeah.
taste. Wow.
I just think
I
that
don't
your gaming
think-
case is shit. Just kidding.
Okay, let's
Wow.
get back to this discussion.
Let's get
Yeah.
back to the discussion.
No, I'm just messing.
Difficulty.
There was a time where I've never loved shooters except for Doom. But there was a time where I loved my like NHL games. I loved NHL 2010, Madden 08, Madden 09. No, I loved those games. They were great, but I never played the other ones because they were all the same thing. I was like, why play 4 of these games when they're all basically the same? Just with
Hey,
different-
maybe I want the Eagles to be good in this one. The freaking Cowboys to
Well,
be good.
you can always trade. You could always trade players in games the way you want.
Could.
It's part of the
So-
fantasy of football.
Yeah, I guess so.
Now they know I watch the NFC East because I just listed off the
I watched the
Dallas
NFC East because I like to be depressed.
Cowboys. Because it's a dead freaking division. But
Yeah, I love the Eagles, man. They're my team. But the reason why I'm taking a year off Phillies here, and it's because it's not good for my mental health. Phillies,
Valid.
Flyers, Sixers, and Eagles. I love them all. I'm a diehard fan, but I can't. I need a year, man. I need.
I need a singular
once.
year.
Yeesh.
Okay. Back on the topic.
RPGs. I personally love action RPGs more than turn-based RPGs. They're my favorite genre, RPGs in general, both including obviously turn-based and not turn-based. But I just personally have more fun with a game that I can everything that happens versus a game that I can't. Where like in action RPGs, you can go virtually anywhere. there is not really always a set path. Whereas in a lot of turn-based RPGs, you can't necessarily go certain places because of what the game
You're
is.
cutting out for me.
Shit! Am I cutting out for you too, Joe?
Yeah, a little bit.
Is it? Can you not understand me, or is it just?
No, I can
It's
understand.
like in and out, in and out.
Yeah,
Is it done?
It
Mostly.
sounds done.
yeah.
Cool. What did I? Okay, so I love action RPGs, but I personally think that I like the more open exploration of action RPGs and free roaming, along with the free flow of the battle versus being pulled out into a battle, like in turn-based RPGs. That's just a preference.
You don't want it to be an action to lead you to
Yeah, I
enter.
like the game to completely flow. That's just me.
Okay,
I think that makes the game
point.
smoother. And, yeah. But I don't think I feel like I shouldn't have said that it makes it, because that is just prep. I
Yeah.
think
I mean, it's harder based on what you
yeah.
like. If you have a different gaming
Yeah.
style, like I want to take things easy during these times and not at these moments, it would be harder for you.
Yeah. I don't like the extensive amounts of reliance on stats, because there are certain people, or there are certain in action RPGs, if you're really good enough, you can beat any boss at any time if you're just that perfect at dodging in certain things. But in turn-based RPGs, you physically cannot beat because you're not leveled up.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that would be for anything. Like, if you're good at a skill, like Joey would easily beat a rhythm game. Meanwhile, like
turn-based RPGs,
like
you
would
can't
even
beat certain things.
in turn-based RPGs, I find it like very easy to get out and like go through it. But that's easy
No,
for
but
me.
you can't.
It'd
You
be hard
can't
for
use
you.
you can't use a level 1 character to beat a level 70 because
Yes, I can. If I plan it out enough, I can. If I know I'm going to encounter a level 70, which weakness, prepare bombs. I mean, there's a lot. Just like
but that means
ways
you
I
only
can.
have one turn to do it. Because if it hits you,
No, you can. There's other ways to avoid like just one turn. You can like set it up that you don't that it can avoid you. I
know.
mean,
I'm
take
t-
That.
it's different. Basically,
It
with
is
action
different.
RPGs, it's dependent on skills, but some it isn't. So, like, it'll be incredibly unfair. Like, if you get hit once and the attack is something that you can't dodge with like a specific number of like speed or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, then you just can't. The same thing happens in
turn-
turn-based RPGs, but you can
But
grind
if I
to make it easier.
I mean, grinding, but also pre-planning as well can
Yeah,
help you with that.
grinding, pre-planning, both of that. It works in both.
There are bullshit things in action RPGs, like unavoidable. I think I hate unavoidable because there's no skill involved. It's just a matter of it's like a game. It's like a gatekeeping kind of thing. Like, oh, you might be able to get far enough in this boss fight, but you're not supposed to beat it. And here we're going to prevent you from beating it too soon by making it so this move will automatically kill you if you're not high enough level. So I hate that. I don't like that.
I think that's just a poor game design choice rather
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
a fault of the game genre itself.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
and that's per game.
It's just like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, where oh hey, you can't fight this boss battle without a super effective move against it, or you can't fight this gym leader because you don't have a super effective Pokemon, and it's just like what? I want to be able to do what I want.
Yeah,
Let me do what I freaking want.
games that restrict you from doing what you want at all times. You should be. I feel like the games that are the best are what you want at all times.
I mean, you can get curb stomped by a really hard boss or
Yeah,
really
but you
hard
can still.
area,
But
but you have the freedom to do what you want.
You have the
have full
freedom to try it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you should be able to break a game, but I'm saying like, especially in RPGs, you should be able to free roam and do what you want and experience the consequences of the decision.
Okay, I'm surprised you didn't say Kanto. Well, I mean, you did say Gen 3, which allows you to do Kanto Ho in terms of like what you like and dislike, which do give you pretty open area to like
Thank you
explore
for
wherever the heck you want
reconsidering
to.
your criticism.
No, I didn't reconsider. Remember, I said Gen 3 and Gen 1 were one of my favorites. They're
No,
my
you were
top
gonna
three.
say I'm surprised I didn't say Gen 1 or something.
Yeah, I'm surprised you said Gen 1 when it has the most open out of all of the like the only like set line to do any of the gyms.
Well, that's why I
Hey, you
said
need to get these HMs, and also
that's why I said I'm
hey,
a bit of a
less.
hypocrite. That's why I said I'm a bit of a hypocrite, because for me, there are certain franchises that have different situations. I've never looked at Pokemon as an RPG until recently. Just because,
Well, until I pointed.
I don't know. I don't understand why I never thought of it that way. Because Pokemon's so mainstream that I was just always like, Pokemon's Pokemon. Pokemon's its own thing, but it's not. It's a very traditional Japanese RPG. And it's, but Pokemon is like where a lot of my hypocrisy stems from. Because if we're not talking about Pokemon, then my opinions on games as a whole are genuinely static, genuinely the same across. But when it comes to Pokemon, a lot of things that I may like in one franchise, I might not like in Pokemon, and I don't really know why.
I think it's
I
just a
mean,
matter of differing likes and dislikes in different genres. Like
I mean,
some people like
go ahead.
really grindy things in JRPGs, but
I
then
don't.
don't like it in action RPGs, or vice versa with me. I don't like grind in JRPGs, but I'm actually fine with action RPGs because the gameplay
Yeah,
is
so am
fun to
I.
do.
Exactly. So am I.
But also, Pokemon is like it's an easy introduction, I would say, into.
Yes.
Yeah,
I said before, it's like baby's first JRPG. You get
Yes, I agree.
literally you have as many characters as you can get being the Pokemon, and they can all level up in
And you don't
ways.
necessarily have to grind because you get better balls. Well, that's going to be taken out of
You
context.
can get better
You
Pokeballs,
can get
catch
better
better
Pokeballs to
Pokemon.
get better Pokemon without having to grind.
yeah.
Of course, there's sometimes you want to grind and keep certain Pokemon, but
Yeah,
that's
of
your
course.
choice. It's
But
your
yeah,
choice. You have the
exactly.
freedom to do so.
You have the freedom. That's why Pokemon, I think, is so successful. You have the freedom to necessarily want at all times. Play the game how you
I mean,
want.
I also guess I can see why you don't like Pokemon the Gen 5 because you were if you didn't win first in the
Yeah.
first gym to get like a semi-C or semi-Sage, whatever the
Yup.
freaking level was, because you were not able to beat the first gym leader unless you really grinded it out.
Yeah.
Yup.
Basically, you had to get one of those before you continue.
I didn't get to the second gym until I was level
Level what?
20.
Ah, that's understandable.
Yeah.
I remember when I like picked Embor, and I'm like, okay, this seems unfair.
Wait, we
They're just
picked the
gonna pick the
same.
thing that counters. This
We
is the
picked the
thing that
same
counters
one.
me.
Well, I picked Ember as well.
I mean, Tempig that turned
Tepig.
into
Tepig was great because he's just Turtwig but orange.
Of course.
and fire. Yeah,
Am I wrong? Does he not look very similar to Turtwig?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
You are
also
wrong because he's not a turtle.
Neither is
he's a pig.
Turtwig.
Twig's
Yeah.
a turtle,
He's
but
a
I mean,
tortoise.
he's a tortoise.
Anyway, back to the point.
But it's. I was saying like, no matter who you pick in there, it's
Yeah.
gonna be the same difficulty no matter what starter you pick in that one too. Go first gym is always going to choose the hardest matchup for your Pokemon. I thought that was cool, but also it feels like okay, I had to get literally a second Pokemon before I can continue. That feels a bit unfair, but I
Yeah.
Yeah,
understand where
I
you come from.
agree. I agree.
Meanwhile, let me go back to what I was saying before. Like I was about the trios of like, okay, based on which Pokemon you choose, it's easier and harder, like easier or harder to start for you. Like for Johto, they did the same thing. Like the first two gyms being, or first three gyms, I should say, are flying, bug, and normal type. Grass gets beat by those first two gyms, which is why Chikorita is hurt so much by that. Both flying and bug
Yo,
mess up grass type. Water is
Cyndaquil
neutral
lover,
to
so yeah.
all of those, and Cyndaquil has high attack, which can beat bird types also, and also destroys the bug types. I mean, Whitney defeated everyone.
Johto was fairly easy considering the fact that.
But also there was also later types too, because a lot of the gyms suffered from being weak to fire types.
Yup.
Like the steel type gym that was newly introduced, the ice type gym.
Pokemon does suffer from gym placement.
Also, I'm going to say something
But
that's
that's also
probably
because they needed they also needed new typing because
Go
in the
on,
first
Joey.
gen,
Joey,
which
just
you still
interrupt
had
him.
access
Joey,
to.
just interrupt him. Just do it.
Okay.
Sorry, I know I'm going off really hard.
Yeah, I was gonna say one thing that's gonna bring back memories. Milk tank rollout.
Dude,
Milk
fuck
Tank
Milk
rollout.
Tank.
They had
Dude, no, I'm gonna go first because fuck Milk Tank. Like, I remember losing so many battles. Stupid ass Pokemon. It never worked.
let me just say, as a way to beat Milk Tank, there is like a Machoke available.
Yeah.
But
But I was stupid, so I didn't know that.
It's early. Yeah, if you know it, it's easier because you can just destroy the gym if you have that. But if you don't know that, you're just fricked.
Yeah.
I didn't know that because I was a kid and I didn't care enough to look it up. I didn't have a phone. And the internet was a thing that I didn't really understand or care to understand. I thought
But yeah,
else,
Machop makes
and
it a
it
lot
kind of
easier.
was. So
Yeah, and I just
Or if you had a move that could stun and stop rollout, if you knew these things, it's easier.
Yeah, I just kind of had
But
Heart Gold and Soul
fricked.
Silver, which just made it easier with more options.
Oh yeah, it did make it a lot easier.
Yeah.
In Heart Gold.
RPGs at the end of the day are great because of how different each one is, regardless of the genre. And they're also very similar. Like most RPGs have a lot of similar tropes. You know, darkness, there's
Stats.
evil, there's stats, there's a ghost ship in most. You know, there's a lot of things
Allies.
that are allies.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Paper
Super
Mario.
effective
Look at you,
statuses, effective
Paper
moves,
Mario, you
ineffective
fucking
moves.
bitch. Fuck you, Paper Mario. You're not going back to 1,000-year door. No more allies. Fuck you. Looking right at you.
From Pokemon to Persona.
Are you
Dark
talking
Souls.
about Sticker Star?
Talking about all of them after fucking Super Paper Mario that just decided, nah, more partners.
So Sticker Star and afterwards.
Yeah, Sticker
Yeah.
Star, Color Splash, and then the one that was mixed with Paper Mario or Mario and Luigi.
Origami King? Or no, Paper Jam.
Origami King didn't really have allies. It had one ally area that kind of got taken away.
Yeah.
Not really sure if I like that.
Yeah, I still haven't tried out the
Nintendo's
game.
refusal to do things that the fan wants astonishes me. But that's a different
That's a different topic for a different podcast.
By the way,
I mean,
before we go on to our next topic, I do want to say we will be doing these podcasts weekly every Saturday. The timing may change occasionally, but it will be every.
I mean, I'm not sure when they'll be posted, but we're going to be on Saturday.
Yeah, we will be recording them every Saturday. Today is
Yeah.
October 23rd, 2021. So for those of you who like to figure out when things are recorded versus when they're posted, there you go.
Yeah. And depending on how we feel, we might stream it, we might not.
But it will always be on YouTube and some maybe stretch, maybe be on Twitch as well. But
We would also like to hear your opinions as well
where you want things
about or what we talked about.
Yeah, give us suggestions because we're gonna run out real quick.
Give us suggestions.
What do you want to hear?
Give us suggestions.
What do you want to hear? Three early 20s guys, college kids, or post
talk about
games.
Talk about what we talk about in the comments. Try to keep it civil, though, please.
No,
and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
No, don't do any of that.
Like, comment, and survive.
No, dislike, block the video, make sure to spam everyone to avoid us.
Dislike,
ratio report. Our video, please.
Dislike, report, and...
It's just too fun to make fun of because everybody says...
comment, and we will like this video or we'll kill you. Like, comment, and
subscribe so you can catch the next 3-hour podcast.
Oh, God.
If you don't like this video, we will kill you.
If you don't like the video, tell us why and tell you you're wrong.
We'll tell you you're wrong. Go fuck yourself.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
but please leave constructive criticism. Talk about the topic we talked about today, as well as, future topics that we might go over. Or you can tell us why we're wrong. Tell us you're stupid and here's why.
Tell us, yeah.
Tell us we're stupid and give us reasons.
Give us reasons. Or don't.
Or don't, just you're stupid. Get ratioed. Leave a
Yeah.
clown emoji and then
Yeah. I mean, do what you want. It's the comments.
Yep.
You have the right to ban you, though. Just keep that in mind.
you will be blocked. No.
You will be blocked.
Just say, it's gonna be moderated, so...
Will it, though?
We will look at it. We will look at the comments because that will...
Yes.
But next thing I want to talk about is I wanted to bring it back to, are we going to talk about Symphony of the Night? Or do we want to save that?
We can save that for another time.
Alright. I like overall difficulty is such a very broad thing that you can't really talk about too much in the same vein
Easy is good.
games because it's all different. Easy, normal, hard is just like the basic for certain games. But when you talk about like things like rhythm games, things like RPGs, a lot of it comes down to, or like fighting games, a lot of it comes down to your persistence and your knowledge
Your
of.
own challenge.
Yeah, exactly.
Difficulty is subjective.
Yeah.
Oh
Honestly,
god, did we just figure out difficulty of subjective?
like there are games that are easier for people. I suck at shooters, but I'm amazing at RPGs. So,
I suck at RPGs, but I'm pretty good at fighting games and rhythm games and 2D platformers.
Yeah.
I'm okay at a lot of games, but I suck at a lot of games. There, I can't be specific.
God damn it.
That's fair.
I can't be specific because I can't think of it right now.
I'm pretty good at Smash, but I suck at all.
Pretty good's a strong word.
Wow.
Man,
Wow.
Shade. Listen, Joey. None of us play 73 characters of the 80 character roster.
What are you talking about? I don't play 73 of the 80. I play 80.
I play all 90. Play all 89 of them. I can't believe there's really 89 characters.
Sorta in Smash. Oh, yeah.
Depends on what you count. What?
Well, there's 86 if you count Pokemon Trainer as.
It's 3 separate characters and Pyro 2 separate characters.
Yeah, if you count Pyro and Mythra and Pokemon Trainer as 3 and 2 characters.
And then there are echoes where it's just like Ken and Ryu are really, really different. And then there's just Daisy and Peach. Yeah. Samus and Dark Samus. Which
Marth and Lucina.
Marth and Lucina are more different, but...
Yeah.
I would say Mario and Dr. Mario are more different.
Yeah.
Fucking remember when Ganon and Captain clones?
Yeah.
I think we're done with the topic right now, I guess.
We're winding down.
Yeah, we're winding down.
It's our first video. We don't know how to end it. It's our first video. We don't know how to end it.
Game difficulty is subjective. Easy, normal, hard. Hard can be really easy for someone. It can be for someone, depending on who that fricker is.
Next week, I believe we were doing. Do you guys want to do a specific franchise as a topic?
We'll have to look at our topics for Let me see what we have for our topics. Let's look at what we had for topics.
And if any of you guys are watching and are early enough to actually suggest things, we'll list them off.
Please.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I think that's going to conclude it for the first episode of I'm never going to get it right. Gameroom Discourse.
Gameroom Discourse.
I'm Mike.
I'm James.
Here's what we're gonna do. I'll go first since I talk too much, and then James, and then Joey, just so that we're not having silence.
Yep.
So I'm Mike.
I'm James.
And I'm Joe, also known as Froggy Doo.
And that was awesome. We'll get better at ending our podcast. I promise.
Yeah, we'll learn this through time. Maybe get some extra guests, maybe not. Who knows?
Or we
Life
won't
is
get
life.
better.
Life is life. It's unpredictable. It's an RNG fest. Praise RNGs.
RNGs.
And just like life, it has a difficulty setting.
Oh, God.
And it's always hard.
Well, you don't get to choose it. It's randomly generated when you get birthed.
Pretty much.
Randomly generated game difficulty. Yeah, just like for South Park, I have the... No.
Oh, God.
All right, no. We're done. Bye.
Okay.
We're done.
Okay. See ya.